What made you name King Von a serial killer?
Yeah, so I had covered King Von when he was still alive. So I did 3 videos about Von, and in one of those videos, you know, I mentioned the whole situation with KI, where, you know, he had years of history beefing with this girl on Twitter, you know, saying that he wanted to kill her, saying that he was trying to catch her, saying that he'd beaten her up. You know, whether or not you want to believe the stuff that's said on Twitter is real. You know, A&E made a documentary about King Von and KI, and you know, he was in the documentary in his past. But here's the thing that I find really frustrating about the bad reaction to my Von video. When Von was alive, all anyone wanted to talk about was Von is the realist. Von really about what he says. Von the realist. Von really did this shit. And so, for everybody to kind of come out now after I've analysed his lyrics and say it's all cap, it just to me seems really disingenuous. Because the whole point, the whole appeal was that Von was real.
Let me answer that. Okay, have you ever been paid
let's do it.
To exaggerate, Trap Lord Ross? We trying to get out the ghetto, brother.
Never been
hey,
paid
listen,
to exaggerate.
People like you so infatuated with our culture and the criminal element of it, they paying us. We trying to get out the ghetto, homie. You don't think we'll put a little cap on it to come out the ghetto? You nigga like you obsessed with me. I can sell you any goddamn thing if I'm King Von. You don't think I'm gonna put a little something on it?
Von really did it, and everyone said he was real. Going on, you know, I was seeing more and more Von songs come out, and let's be real, like, whether or not you believe Von did anything or did the things he said, he dropped like 5 or 6 songs where he said, I have 7 bodies. You know, there's I think it's the Audio Mac freestyle. He says, let's talk about bodies, I got several. And then in the ad-libs, he's saying, I got 7. He's got that other song where he says, let's talk bodies, I got a few, 3 plus 4. But I'm almost seeing like Youngboy and Von, it's sort of, they go in a different direction where it's like Youngboy's got all these lyrics, but then I'm looking into it and it's like, he didn't do that shit. You know what I mean?
And it ain't for you to find if he did do it. This is what's important for you to know. If you can't be the voice of whether he did or...
And over time, because I'd already done research into Von's story and got in trouble for it, I was kind of thinking like, I can't believe he is still out here saying this stuff, saying more stuff. And just like, you know, I was watching it thinking any day now this guy's going to catch the Rico and get arrested, surely. And that's just as a fan. And so I was honestly a big fan of Von's music. You know, it was heartbreaking to find out that he died.
But as far as King Von, he didn't have enough money to run away and just check out the game. He didn't have that kind of money. And you're talking to me about tweets, and it's almost disrespectful, but I'm a content creator, so I know I gotta deal with this, right? It's cool. I accept it. But bro, I'm telling you from experience, I had to come out the trenches, my I come out of this. These don't have the money you think they have, and I'm the they used to come borrow from. When did you find would you say you are infatuated with King Von?
I'll be honest, I would.
Anytime we talking, ain't nobody, listen, nobody really from my culture gonna sit next to you and say Von killed anybody. Understand that.
That I agree, and I think that's disgusting.
Why?
Because you've got 7 people who allegedly lost their lives at the hands of this man, and I think they deserve justice, or at least closure.
Closure don't come through you though when you in the UK, homie.
Disrespecting them by denying the facts.
Listen, this is the problem I even have with 1090. Closure don't come through you. Closure for them folks don't come through no white man in the UK, with all due respect.
And, you know, I'll just be real with you. You know, I came from a place that was very white. You know, there weren't really many black people growing up where I grew up. You know, we probably had like 1 black dude in our school, realistically. And my homie just said to me, like, you know, why don't you take some of those stories that you're always telling people and do it in the video, like your Rust video? And it's kind of funny because at the time, I said to the guy, I was like, I don't think people are going to rock with this nerdy white guy with glasses talking about these, you know, real ass hip hop stories. And I kind of put it off. And then eventually I just said, you know what, let me make a story. Let me make a hip hop history video, see how that goes. And I did the video about how Jay-Z shot his brother when he was 12, and just kind of telling that story. You know, that was just the story that really stood out to me, of, you know, hearing those lyrics when I was a kid and thinking, wow, you know, that's crazy. That's a circumstance, like shooting your brother when you're just 12. Like, that was something completely out of my conception, and it was an interesting story.
Would you say obsession is not healthy?
Probably not. No, and you know what? I would say that in general, I think, you know, I don't want to. I mean, look, I can throw my hands up and say I think I probably even before I made the video, I think I was obsessed with King Von's music, because there was a time when all I wanted to listen to was Von.
Whatever this culture has, I've endured it, right? So when I'm speaking to you, I don't hear hip hop. I hear you obsessed with the criminal aspect of the culture. I'm telling you, I'm a listener, so I'm not someone that's just gonna say these things as a I got your moment. I'm not into that, right? We having conversation. I'm literally listening to what you're saying. That particular part of it seems to what draws you in, because the way Jay-Z raps is nothing like the way King Von raps, yet you are obsessed with both of them.
You know, just to be completely honest, I don't think King Von is necessarily someone to look up to, because I think that you've got someone like Jay-Z where he beat the odds and he broke the cycle and he got out of that situation, became a millionaire, focused on his business, built billion-dollar businesses, became very corporate. Whereas I think if you contrast that with Von got out of the streets, became a millionaire, but it would seem, based on the research that I did, that Von simply was more interested in the beef. He wanted to keep funding the street war. He wanted to arrange hits.
That's what I would disagree with you, because from outside of our culture, you cannot speak to what he was interested in. I keep telling them best conversations in the world, best podcaster in the world. I want to welcome every single person that has clicked this video. I go by the name of Big Loon. We have Trap Lord Ross on this Up There podcast today. Dynamic conversation. But first, I need to tell everyone that's watching, come to patreon.com. It's Up There podcast right now. We have boatloads of content. If you enjoy what you're seeing today, we have so much more to offer on Patreon, and that's where we park at. That's where we talk to the fans. That's where we upload every piece of content that we do. I want to thank everyone. The only way you can find this Up There podcast video is on patreon.com. It's Up There podcast. Today we had Trap Lord Ross. He compared King Von to Jay-Z. I tried to explain to him that we've been put in a situation where we've been not only encouraged but incentivized to exaggerate criminal culture onto our loved ones. And so sometimes we find ourselves between that rock and that hard place. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Trap Lord Ross is someone that I enjoy his content. His docu-style approach to things, to me, brings a certain flavor to the game, so we definitely appreciate it. But this conversation was 3.5 hours long, and I promise you, you don't want to miss any part of it. Not one part of it do you want to miss. The conversations are that dynamic on this Up There podcast. I continue to prove over and over again that we will bring the best conversations in the culture. Again, from the center of my soul, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank every single person that's clicked this video. Head to patreon.com right now to keep up with the vibration. This will be the biggest podcast in history. I want to thank y'all. Let's get to the show. Let's get it.
I got time to... Right, 1 second.
Yo, welcome. You know who it is, Big Loon. We got Trap Lord Ross today. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. You know, it's a lot of information to be spoken about. It's a lot of game to be had. He's been instrumental in a bunch of things that I've took a liking to. But I do think that there's some pushback that needs to be had. This dude is a content creator of the highest form, right? Over the last couple of days, they've been kind of mashing him up with 1090 Jake. He's a little different than Jake, though. He actually is a content creator, like, and I'll get to some of his way of coming in the coach and how he got here and all of that. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a great conversation. He's been welcoming to all questions and all criticism, and he's been able to sit with people like academics, King Von's old manager, Adam 22. A lot of those people I've had on my platform as well. But, you know, I'm Big Loon. So for those of you that's new around here, which I don't know if anyone that has not saw my face, I'm the dude that is taking over, right? When we talk about podcasting, I'm the guy that went and got a couple of deals. I did Lil Baby's rollout, Moneybag Yo rollout. So I'm one of the biggest, and also the real ones check in with me. So if you guys got questions, if you guys want to interact with the conversation, it's definitely a situation where we're gonna definitely let you guys in on it. So I am here. What's going on, my guy?
What's good, man? Good to connect. Good to be here finally. Sorry it took me so long to settle and get to you, but I'm here now. I'm excited to talk, man.
It's all good, man. I've been seeing you making your rounds, so I know you've been a busy guy after that King Von thing came out, so I know how that works. Definitely.
Yeah, it was crazy, man, because I've been doing this for a few years, but I never had attention on this level. I had a lot of different people asking me for interviews, for appearances, for debates. So it's been a lot to handle, but I got to shout out Adam22, man, because he told me I got to check in with you. He said I got to make sure that this one happens. So
that's my guy.
I mean, I'm here.
Yeah, that's my guy, Adam. That's my guy, man. I went out there and dealt with Adam. We talk behind the scenes all the time. Adam's running a multi-million-dollar business. I'm running a multi-million-dollar business. So we talk all the time about those things. Shout out Adam. Shout out No Jumper. He's had it rough here lately.
It's been up and down for him, man. I think it's been it's like you say, it's tough. I'm not a multi-million-dollar business yet, but I'm saying I'm still grinding. I'm coming a long way over the last few months, but I look up to Adam a lot, and I can tell that his operation, there's a lot going on. A lot of people to keep happy. So I know it's been a tough situation for him the past few months, but I mean, I got love for Adam. I got love for all of the guys that were on No Jumper and aren't anymore. It was really sad to kind of see that breakup happen, but I'm saying I love all those guys and I know they're going to keep winning. So
yeah, them my guys. AD, them my guys. Adam, my guy. It's business at the end of the day. Me and Adam talked the other day. I said, yo, you took a hit, but he just got to basically find his chicken sandwich. Like Popeyes, like. The menu was the menu, but when they introduced that chicken sandwich, the line was wrapped around the building. So now he has to just figure out what that is to his audience, and I believe he has an opportunity to do so. So it'll just be a process of finding what that new niche is. He may have to walk completely away from, what he was doing at first with those guys, right, and just try to plug more people in. He may have to kind of reimagine what he wants to do on camera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think what's good is that he seems to have, checked in with some new, interesting people. I think he's got Caught, Brick Baby. I'm a big fan of Brick Baby, and I think he's great on camera. So, what I'm saying? It's a good opportunity for new talent to come through. I'm still watching Back on Fig, Community, but new talent on No Jumper is interesting too, man. So it's kind of good to see what's going on. Obviously, it's tough, but hell, man, there's a lot of podcast beefs over the year. The big whole Joe Budden breakup was obviously a big thing I was into at the time. So, yeah, ain't easy running a podcast out here.
That's where I got on you from, and I want my audience to know, because I know they want me to and we're going to have some conversations about all of the King Von and some of that shit, but I know they want me to get them, Loon. Talk to them about this shit, Loon, because you the guy, and we'll get to talk about it, but I do want people to know that I do respect what you do, right? I remember when I first saw you on the Joe Budden podcast breakup, I said, oh, this dude, I actually pitched you to a big company, and I just didn't reach out to you just yet, but I'll talk to you behind the scenes about a few things. But the way you do that documentary style thing is just, I really appreciate that, right? I want you to know that. And that's before the King Von thing. Now the King Von thing, it sent waves through the culture. Because
I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. It was more than I was bargaining for.
I know it. Tell me your upbringing before we get to all of that stuff. Tell the people where you from, how you were born and raised, things like that.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to talk about that. So I was born in London, or sort of like an area that's sort of the south of London. Some people say it's not London, some people say it is, but it's an area called Croydon, which is kind of it's got a little bit of a reputation. But, at the same time, I lived there till I was about 5 or 6. And then my family relocated to a very small town on the south coast of England. You probably never heard of this town, but it's a town called Bognor Regis. It's a very small town. It's by the seaside, by the beach. You know, I'll be honest, it's not a very diverse town. You know, it's sort of a very kind of simple British people. Not to disrespect them, but it's, you know, it's a small town. You know, small opportunities. Not a lot going on there. But the funny thing is, man, you know, I grew up loving hip hop, and where I'm from, it's not a very hip hop place. You know, where in the UK, you know, London's really the big place for hip hop. But I moved out of London when I was very young. But fortunately, I grew up just when the internet was really kind of hitting, and so I was a young kid, you know, 9, 10 years old, on the internet, downloading music, listening to people like Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Eminem. And, you know, my parents didn't understand. I had 2 older brothers that were super into hip hop. And really, I was just like an internet baby. You know, I was kind of getting raised by rappers on the internet, listening to all of these stories, you know, the success, the danger, the lifestyle, the ups and downs. Like I say, people like Jay-Z, you know, listening to his story coming from the Marcy Projects. Where I was growing up at the time was just, you know, is the complete opposite. You know, no pun intended, but it was black and white, day and night. What I was living to what I was hearing in these songs about people like Jay-Z, the DMX, Eminem. It was fascinating to me, honestly, and I was just in love with hip hop. You know, I didn't have many friends that liked hip hop, but like I say, I grew up in a very small, boring town. You know, not much happened. You know, there wasn't much going on.
So what would you say? What would you say? Because I know your love from hip hop is there. I think a lot of people share that across the world, right? Hip hop is just such a magnet, right? It's something that draws people to it. But it's our culture, right? So where did you gain your understanding of it? Not your love for it, but your understanding, because that's a little different. And that's when you get into the weeds, right? Your love for it could have you speak on something that you may not understand. So now we got to figure out where the understanding of hip hop and that culture comes from, seeing that you did grow up in an area that really didn't have all of what we've been through, right? Like me. Did you ever do backwards flips on mattresses, or play football up the hill, or knick-knock, or do you even know what knick-knock is? Or, like, you know, some of these things what our culture grew up in, it's like, where did you get your understanding of it? Was it through the music?
Is knick-knock, is that like when you knock on the door and run away?
Yes.
type shit?
Yes.
In the UK we call that knock down ginger.
Okay, so it's different verbiage.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll be honest, man, you know, like I say, you know, it began with the music, and really it was, you know, it was another world to me, I'll be honest, you know, and I think you make a good point. You know, I understood the music, but I didn't understand the culture. You know, I'd never been to some of the places I was hearing about in this music. It was only through the internet, you know, listening to the songs and like reading the lyrics. You know, when you get like back in the day, you'd get a CD, you'd actually buy an album, you know, like the Blueprint or something on CD. And sometimes you might have, or on vinyl, and it might have all the lyrics, you know, in the booklet or stuff like that, you know. And I would really study hip hop and the rappers that I was into, and honestly, just the details, you know. And for me, I think it was actually like a case that I kind of knew I didn't have that cultural understanding of the music. And I was really just trying to learn as much as I possibly could. You know, I think I was always just really hungry and thirsty to know about hip hop. Like, these artists were inspiring me, and you know, I wanted to learn more about Jay-Z's past. I wanted to know what's it like in New York. You know, what is the Marcy Projects like? What's the history of these places like? And really, just between listening to the music, you know, doing research on the internet, that type of thing, you know, I was just obsessed with hip hop and these rappers that I idolized. And then over the years, you know, I just learned more about it. And, you know, it's kind of an interesting transition, because when I was 18, I moved to London. I kind of moved back to like the center of London. And, you know, London's interesting because, you know, unlike where I grew up, you know, London is very multicultural. You got a lot of people from different backgrounds, you know, Black, Asian, you know, obviously there's a big Asian sort of community in the UK, you know, people of Indian and Pakistani descent, especially as well, like Afro-Caribbean people from, you know, different areas, different countries in Africa and stuff like that. So it was interesting for me. I kind of moved back to London, and, you know, I'll just be real with you. You know, I came from a place that was very white. You know, there weren't really many black people growing up where I grew up. You know, we probably had like one black dude in our school, realistically. And, you know, when I moved to London, it was just more multicultural. You know, I would like to think of myself as pretty open-minded. You know, the rappers and the people I idolized growing up, a lot of successful black men.
So how can you be open-minded if you didn't grow up around us? Like, how do you develop that?
It's an interesting one because I think for me, because I listen to so much hip hop music, I think I was just open-minded to black culture in general. And it wasn't necessarily just hip hop music, like black comedians too. I used to love Def Comedy Jam, Dave Chappelle, like way back, you know, before. Obviously Chappelle was always big, but like where he's at now, you know, when I was a kid, it was like early Chappelle show. He was doing like Live at the Fillmore, Def Comedy Jam. And I guess I was just really, I just liked black culture. I found black comedians funny, and I found a lot of white comedians not as funny. Or it's funny because it's like I can't really say I related to it more because I didn't live that experience. But at the same time, you know, all I would listen to is hip hop music. I didn't relate to the pop music that my friends were listening to at school. I couldn't get into it. I didn't like it. I wanted to listen to Jay-Z. I wanted to listen to DMX. I wanted to listen to Nas. And you know, to be honest, I guess it's just a case of like that. I would probably say there were racist people, you know, where I grew up. It is a very white, closed-minded place.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's focus on the words, right? Because you say that, yo, I was open-minded, but where I'm from is racist people. And so at some point you want us to believe that you're the only one that came out of there without the races on them. You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't know,
yeah.
but for the sake of conversation, we got to have a conversation. If you come from a place where it's one black dude in the school, how do you get from that to speaking on black culture? And then, number two, my second question would be, let's focus on the words of open-minded or infatuated. Were you just infatuated with culture? Because I was infatuated with my own culture as a youngster. Like you say, Def Comedy Jam, the rap stuff. But for you to be open-minded would kind of speak to an understanding. You see what I'm saying? Open-minded, does it speak to engaging with or like listening to or, you know, seeking after? It kind of open-minded, in my opinion, speaks to an understanding of that culture. So help me with those two questions.
Yeah, I guess the way I see it is it's just like, you know, I gained a lot of understanding and knowledge about hip hop through listening to hip hop music. It was the only genre that I wanted to listen to, you know. I think, I don't think it's necessarily fair to say if I'm from an area that's like predominantly white and there are a lot of racist people that necessarily makes me racist. You know, I left that area. I moved to London.
It doesn't make you racist, but you do come from, you know, your environment does dictate your outlook, right? And it's hard for me to believe that you can come from a place where you see no black people at all. And not that you're racist, right? I don't want to say you're racist because I don't think you're racist. I really believe you enjoy our culture. But I think your understanding of some things that happen in the culture can be off a little bit. And that's why we're going to have a conversation to kind of see where we live at. Like what can we do to either figure out, oh, yeah, fuck, I didn't think about that. Or, no, I thought about that, but this is just how I look at it, right? So I'm thinking when you come from, and I don't want to hang up on this a lot, but if you come from a place where you see one black person, right? First of all, how did you discover hip hop? Was it the internet?
Yeah, so first off, let me just jump back. I think I just want to make it clear, like, I don't necessarily really agree with that premise as far as, like, if you're from an area that is, say, predominantly white, that you're going to be racist. You know, for example, like, if you come from an area that's high crime, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a criminal. You know what I'm saying? So
but
I don't think you
won't
can judge the person by their environment they're from, if you get what I'm saying. So it's kind of like, you know, I just want to make it clear, like, I don't think that me being from an area that's predominantly white necessarily should lead to like an assumption being made about the type of person I am. You know, I want to be judged on my actions and the content of my character rather than where I'm from or the color of my skin, you know?
You will be. What I'm saying is I'm not speaking to your behavior. I'm speaking to your understanding. So I'm speaking to, if I grow up in a house where domestic violence is prevalent, when I come outside of that home, I don't see that as abnormal. When I see a man fight a woman, I don't see that as abnormal because that's all I saw growing up. So I'm speaking about your understanding, not your behavior. You're talking to me about your behavior. I'm talking about if I come from a place where I've seen no bugs all my life, and then I come in your house and see a bug, I'm going to react in a certain way because I have no understanding of it. It's going to be like, oh, what the fuck is that? I never grew up. I never seen that. Oh, how nasty are y'all to have those? What the fuck is that? Like, it could be something that caused that. It could be your neighbors. It could be your neighbors are nasty to cause that bug. I have no understanding on bugs at all. So all I know is I've never saw it. So I'm more so speaking about your behavior. I mean, your understanding, not your behavior. Because again, I want to say that you look at our culture and you enjoy it. You participate in it. Like I'm telling you, I've watched your content, bro. You bust raps. Like you're not just some guy who, you know, is just flavorless and just jumped into this, right? But your understanding is what we just gonna live at a second. But to that, what do you say? Because again, I'm speaking of understanding, not behavior.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing that I think it's really clear to like try and communicate is, you know, the environment that I grew up in, maybe that was predominantly white. I didn't feel like I fit in. Not that I identify as black or something crazy like that, but all the artists that I was listening to were, not all of them, because you've got plenty of, you know, successful, good white artists that I was listening to growing up, people like Eminem or, you know, other kind of white rappers that were popular. But the people I idolized were predominantly black. You know, I was a young white guy in a predominantly white area, but the posters on my wall were successful black men that I looked up to and idolized. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have that experience. I didn't grow up in an area that, you know, I didn't grow up in a predominantly black area with some of the, maybe, for example, the socioeconomic problems that, you know, might go on in some of those areas traditionally, right? So I'll be the first to throw my hands up and say I haven't been through that struggle. But for me, I think as a youngster, when I wasn't in that sort of area, I think the music was like a window for me to understand black people and the black struggle. You know, I don't pretend that like I know what it was like to grow up in the Marcy Projects, but I think listening to, you know, nothing but Jay-Z songs growing up, it gave me that sympathy. And then, you know, I knew black people growing up. I would never be judgmental of someone based on the color of their skin, even though maybe at school, you know, there were racist people at my school, and, you know, I didn't fuck with that. But once I became an adult and I turned 18, you know, I moved to London. As I was saying a minute ago, London was very multicultural. You know, I begun to make friends with a lot of black people. And what I actually ended up doing when I was in London as a job is, you know, I started making music videos and making music videos for rappers. You know, I guess the majority of the artists that I shot music videos with were black, but, you know, I never met black people with a closed-minded perspective. You know, I was always just in love with hip hop music. If I met somebody that was black, white, Indian, that also loved hip hop music, we had a connection, we had something to talk about. I can't say that, you know, I grew up in the tough areas.
And I want to be clear too, Trap, is that when I say us, and this is what I'm saying about your understanding even of our culture is a little off. Because I'm a rich black man, right? So when I say black men, we don't need sympathy. You know what I'm saying? There's no, like, all of us ain't come from, or all of our circumstances are not in a place where people need to sympathize for us, or, you know, be like we're some sort of victims. Like we you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, I know you say it gave you a window into, listening to Jay-Z gave you a window into black culture so you can kind of sympathize. First of all, a lot of the rap shit is fake. A lot of the talking from raps, and I know from outside of the culture, y'all don't, you may not get that. Oh, that's what I want to say. Let me go back. We'll get to that in a second. When I say hip hop, or when I say the tough area, when I say our culture, I'm not talking about just the criminal element, right? That's why I was talking to you about maybe barbecues, or, you know, football up the hill, or maybe cookouts, or, you know, just other things that we do in our culture that lends us that understanding, even when we talk to each other. Like in my neighborhood, I don't play like this, but in my neighborhood, for some strange reason, they talk to each other and they'll say, "Bitch, what you doing, bitch? Bitch, bitch, what you got?" Like, if a police officer or someone is listening to that, that sounds violent. When that's not even that. You have to be of the culture to understand how they can use a word like that to each other and it's not causing that level of violence. You can't get that through hip hop. You see what I'm saying? That, and I mean, when I say culture, it's not just music. It's fashion. It's jargon. It's lifestyle. It is some hardship. It is some what we've been through, right? I talk like this. I walk like this because of what I've been through, you know? And so it's more than just hip hop that makes us what we are. And so I'm trying to help you get a real window into the culture, because hip hop is just a little bitty facet of our culture. And when you're dealing with our rappers, you're dealing with more than a hip hop artist. You're dealing with a young black man from our culture. You see what I'm saying? And I know sometimes from the outside it's just, oh, another rapper blew up. Another rapper. It's like, no, he's speaking culture language. He's saying some culture shit, whether it's right or wrong, and how you interpret it is what we want to talk about a little later. But, you know, to that, what do you say?
Well, you know, I think it's interesting because I think if we go back to like what I said at the start, you know, it's not just about hip hop. Like I say, you know, I grew up just into things that I guess would be seen as black culture. You know, it's not just hip hop. Like I say, I grew up watching comedy, like Def Comedy Jam. People
that's
like
us. That's black culture.
DL Hughley, Dave Chappelle, and I think, you know, it's almost like I actually go, you know, everything you just said I agreed with, to be honest. Like I think for me it's not necessarily, I don't feel like I've really got something to prove as far as like, you know, my affinity with black people. You know, at the end of the day, I think I'm just this weird white dude that grew up in a very white area, but I listen to nothing but hip hop, you know, listen to nothing but black comedians, black people I find successful. Even beyond that, you know, I remember growing up and I seeing the Malcolm X film and just being so inspired by this amazing, you know, powerful black man that kind of overcome his adversity. And as I said before, like really, I just grew up having a lot of black people as my heroes and people I really admired. Now, does that mean that I had the black experience? You know, no, and I don't claim to have had that. And like I said, I kind of agree with everything you just said, to be honest. But I really, what I'm trying to say is just, it's like, I really mean no harm. Like, and I don't claim to be like an expert of black culture or black people. Like, you know, my topic area on my channel is hip hop music, rappers, that stuff I'm interested in. And realistically, like when it comes to that stuff, you know, I do have a good knowledge. You know, it's we're talking 25 years plus of just me listening to nothing but hip hop and like learning about hip hop, learning about the lyrics. I don't claim to be like some sort of a black culture expert, but at the same time, I kind of, you know, I grew up on that stuff, even though I wasn't from that area. So I'm kind of a messed up, weird, random dude. I really am not trying to claim to be anything I'm not. And, you know, I really don't mean to offend anybody with the things I say or the things I put across. And I'm quite open-minded, man.
And so, I don't necessarily, right, with the King Von thing, and that's what I'm saying, right before the King Von thing, I'm literally in building saying, look, I need to hire this guy. Like, I need to hire this guy. I got some things I want to do with this guy. I like how he does it. I want to pitch him some things and let him kind of get it together, and then we bring it back to the network. Like and then the King Von thing happened. But before King Von, let's go back. I still want to know how you got onto Jay-Z. If nobody around you's listening to it, how it crept into your Rolodex.
Well, that's the thing. So to be fair, so I had two older brothers, right? And bear in mind, so I moved from London, South London, so like Croydon, from when I was about 5 or 6 years old, right? So my older brothers, they were like, I don't know the exact, like 6 and 10 years older than me. So they grew up in London, right? So they were more urbanized as far as like living in the city, living in a much more multicultural area. So they were into like a lot more diverse range of things, not just hip hop, but they liked hip hop. They had a few hip hop records. They were into skateboarding, surfing, just more shit that was more city type stuff. And for me, I think it's just the hip hop's the thing I latched onto. You know, I had an older brother that he would make hip hop beats. You know, we moved from London to this kind of small town. There was nothing going on. And, you know, my brother would mess around on Logic making beats. And I thought that was really cool. You know, I would steal his records and, like I say, listen to my Jay-Z, listen to my, you know, these up here. I don't know if you know these. This is the like Ruckus Records kind of collection.
Yeah, I seen all that back there. Yeah, that's dope.
And these are some of the first records that I ever had of like, these are records that I stole from my older brothers and was spinning, like Pharoah Monch, Eminem, like early stuff. And I'd have been so, I think that series is like 99, 2000. So, you know, we're talking like, I'd be like 7 or 8 discovering this stuff for the first time. So I guess I would give it to my older brothers. You know, I had an older brother that used to make rap beats. My other brother, you know, there was a period of time when he was trying to kind of make it as a rapper and releasing songs and pressing records. And I was just super inspired by them and sort of the rappers that I was listening to, really. So in a way, I guess it's sort of like my older brothers having some hip hop records around, but like, they were they were into that shit, but I really just got obsessive and just took it to a whole other level. I didn't want to play football. I didn't want to surf or skateboard. I just wanted to listen to hip hop all day. And like, you know, I was when I was a little kid, even like I was a young kid, like 9 years old, trying to rap. Like I had my little raps in school, and people were like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, what is this?" But I just loved it. I just thought that was so cool. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be. And I guess it's partly like my older brothers, partly the internet, because once I got these records and I kind of got into hip hop and then the internet was around, I was just, you know, looking up all these artists, downloading their whole catalog. Let me listen to discovered Eminem and Jay-Z. Let me listen to every song they've ever made, every remix they've ever done. I was just sat there doing that all day, and that's how I kind of built up this hip-hop knowledge, kind of by accident. But that's where that knowledge came from. And then many years later, I tried to get into the industry. I wanted to be a video director for rappers. So I was kind of working with just local rappers and rappers that I met in London to like shoot their videos and try and help promote their careers and stuff. And, I just wanted to be close to hip hop. I honestly, at the time, I never really would have even imagined I'd have ended up doing what I do now. But, things just kind of unfolded in a weird way. But yeah, it just all came from the music and just being a kid, just loving hip hop, really.
And you know what? You got onto the music early, and I can hear that, right? I want to know, when did you get into the content part of it? Like, not necessarily the music, but hey, I think I know enough about this stuff. I'm gonna say something, right? When did you get there?
That's an interesting story, right? So it's just a funny one. It might not be what you expect, but so I moved to London when I was like 18. I was studying, making music videos for rappers. It was kind of like I was trying a lot of different stuff, and I actually started doing stand-up comedy. So I was going around in London, like going to these nightclubs, because as well as rappers, like people like Dave Chappelle, I looked up to comedians too, like a lot of comedians that I just thought were dope. So I wanted to give that a try. So I got into the open mic circuit in London and started doing a bit of stand-up comedy. And it was, I'm saying I was doing it a bit, but I wasn't really going anywhere. And then I kind of started getting into making YouTube videos. So I was making more like comedy sketches, like with my friends. I kind of like, so I got a homie that I knew from Brixton, which, well-known spot in South London. But, me and my homie Satonye, we knew each other from doing stand-up comedy. And we just started doing these sketches. And, some of the content we made sort of almost had this element of like, he was a young black guy from Brixton. He's half Nigerian, half Jamaican. And I'm sort of this nerdy white guy from the south of England, but I am obsessed with hip hop. So we did a few like comedy sketches of like kind of almost that thing, almost like a black guy and a white guy living life in a different way. Like me and him did this comedy sketch where he took me to like the Nigerian food spot and he's eating with his hands and like I don't know how to eat the food and shit, right? And so like me and my homies were just doing stuff like this. We were getting no views, like it wasn't going anywhere. But we were just trying to do this whole comedy thing. Like, my pal Satonye, he's a great guy. Shout out to him. He was another person super inspired by people like Dave Chappelle, other great black comedians. And he was kind of doing his stand-up thing. And me and him, we were just trying to make it, basically, like running around London, trying to make it in the content game. And the funny thing is, YouTube just wasn't going anywhere for me. But I just kept trying. Like every year, I would just be like, let me do another sketch. Let me do a reaction video. And over time, I started doing a few videos that were hip-hop related, but it was kind of more UK stuff, funnily enough. Like, I don't know if you know Skepta, sort of the big grime rapper in the UK. He's one of the biggest guys in the UK, but like, I did a few reactions to like, he would drop a new music video. I'd sort of react to Skepta's music video. But again, I wasn't really getting views, like it wasn't going anywhere, but I just kept doing it because it was fun. There's a big rapper in the UK called Russ. Not the American Russ, but we've got our own Russ. He's fire. Shout out to him. But I did a video where I kind of broke down the history of like one of his music videos, and like he had this Lamborghini in his video, and I sort of told the story of how he got this Lamborghini, and it didn't really go anywhere. But that was like the first video I did that kind of had like some structure and sort of told the rap story. And I didn't really rock with it. I didn't think it was that good a video. But I had another homie that was doing videos, YouTube videos, sort of more like history type stuff. And, people that know me in real life know that I'm obsessed with hip hop. Like, I'm the guy at a party trying to tell someone a hip hop story. Or, like, if there's a song I'm trying to be like, oh, like, did you know this about this song? Or, like, did you know Jay-Z, like, sold 1 million records of this album? Or this happened or that happened? Or, like, Gucci, like, did you know Gucci Mane beat a murder case? I was that guy. And my homie just said to me, like, well, why don't you take some of those stories that you're always telling people and do it in the video, like your Russ video? And it's kind of funny because at the time, I said to the guy, I was like, I don't think people are going to rock with this nerdy white guy with glasses talking about these, real ass hip hop stories. And I kind of put it off. And then eventually I just said, you know what, let me make a story. Let me make a hip hop history video, see how that goes. And I did the video about how Jay-Z shot his brother when he was 12 and just kind of telling that story. That was just the story that really stood out to me of, hearing those lyrics when I was a kid and thinking, wow, that's crazy. That's a circumstance, like shooting your brother when you're just 12. Like that was something completely out of my conception, and it was an interesting story. And I made that video, and that video ended up performing better than anything I had ever done. And I just kind of was like, damn, like it was the opposite of what I expected. I was kind of surprised people were even interested. And from there, I just kept going. I started doing videos on all kind of different topics. I did a video on Frank Ocean and how he kind of finessed the record label for $20 million, sort of when he did his album, to get out of his deal with Def Jam. I did a story about how Jay-Z and R. Kelly had beef. I did a breakdown of like R. Kelly's whole case. I did a breakdown of the situation with Young Thug and Lil Wayne having a beef. And it just slowly, like, I was just doing the stuff that I was interested in, stuff that was in the news at the time. And it just slowly started building up. And, like I said, I think it was that Frank Ocean video about how he kind of, that was the first thing I got that got like 1 million views. And to be honest, that was just, that was really mind blowing to me. Like, I would have never thought I could do a video with 1 million views. Everything I'd done up until that point, we're talking like 50, 100 views maybe. Right. So that was like, that was very eye opening for me. But that's the story of how it kind of came to be.
And
really.
Then so that reward of the 1 million views said, hey, let's stick here. I mean, because I'm in content. I know what it's like when everybody's posting me and all this shit's going crazy. My phone's going like it sends off shit in your head. It's like a reward, man. This shit is it's almost, I can only imagine what rappers feel like when they go on the stage and everybody's screaming and hollering and shit. It's just like, that's why they chase it. That's why you see them at some point start to make bad decisions, because I want that feeling back, man. And us as content creators, we got to be careful that we're not somewhat chasing that same ghost and trying to sensationalize some of these things. When did you find would you say you are infatuated with King Von?
I'll be honest, I would, and I think a lot of people are. I think King Von is an artist that captivated a lot of people. When Von was alive, and he was really on the run of his success, releasing his mixtapes back to back, quickly becoming one of the biggest artists in the game. I think a lot of people became obsessed with Von because he was a great artist and he had a fascinating story. And I probably would say that I don't think I'm obsessed with him in a sort of twisted, creepy, King Von tattoo on my face kind of way. But he was definitely one of my favorite artists. He was somebody that his backstory was just insane to me. He had so many lyrics saying, I've got 7 bodies, I'm about to catch another one. I was listening to this guy and he was so good at rapping, and I was just listening to these lyrics thinking, how can this be, like, this can't be true. This guy is so cold on the mic. He's saying he's killed all the ops. He's saying he's killed 7 people, and he's got charting on Billboard. Like, how is this possible? And I probably did get a little bit obsessed with his music and his story, to be honest.
Yeah, and would you say obsession is not healthy?
Probably not. No, and you know what? I would say that in general, I think, I don't want to. I mean, look, I can throw my hands up and say I think I probably even before I made the video, I think I was obsessed with King Von's music, because there was a time when all I wanted to listen to was Von. I didn't want to listen to nobody else, because Von was the realest, the rawest, the coldest rapper, had the best beats. All I wanted to listen to was Von, and that was probably before I'd even done a video about him, back in 2020. Because I did, bear in mind, I did 3 videos on Von while he was alive, and at the time, that's a whole other story. But like, that was a time when I think Von was really the trending topic in hip hop. He was the guy.
Now, so let's go back a little bit. So, all right, King. So you saying that you would say that you have some sort of obsession with King Von. Now, when you went to reporting on King Von, do you think your obsession, because to me, what I'm hearing from you, right, from my side, because I've been involved in everything this culture has to offer, from the dope game to the criminal shit to the jail to the whatever this culture has, I've endured it, right? So when I'm speaking to you, I don't hear hip hop. I hear you obsessed with the criminal aspect of the culture. It's almost like that's what draws you in. Have you ever been in a fight? Have you had fights and stabbings? Have you shot somebody or been shot at, or do you know any of that kind of stuff?
So okay, let me just. I'll answer all
Yes.
those questions. I would say, I would disagree that I'm obsessed with the criminality side of it. I think the thing that got me interested in Von to begin with was the music. It's always the music. I don't go looking for just like random shootings and then like hope that somebody is a rapper.
Well,
behind
hold
it.
up, hold, Trap. You said that
Okay.
the lyric that stuck out to you from Jay-Z was that he shot his brother. That's literally one of the first things you said that stuck out to you. Wow, he shot his brother. I'm telling you, I'm a listener, so I'm not someone that's just gonna say these things as a I got you moment. I'm not into that, right? We having conversation. I'm literally listening to what you're saying. So you said, hey, yo, the Jay-Z thing, right? Jay-Z, man, he was such a lyrical guy, but what really got me, he had to shoot his brother. And I got to thinking.
But what I would say is that I am obsessed with Jay-Z, but I was already a fan of Jay-Z for years before I made that video and before I, covered that story. But like, I've covered a lot of Jay-Z stories. Bear in mind, I've got a video about how Jay-Z cut his deals in his alcohol businesses to become a billionaire. Like, I'm also obsessed with Jay-Z. I'm probably as obsessed with Jay-Z as I am with King Von.
So let me ask you this.
And I think Jay-Z...
How different,
Sure.
rapping-wise, is King Von from Jay-Z? Because if you like Jay-Z's style, him and King Von are day and night. So the only thing they have in common is rapping about the criminal elements in a way that's believable.
That's not... I don't know if that's true, because I think...
we're debating. Let's go. Yeah.
I'm down, though. I'm down. I think as well, it's sort of like, I think you're picking a specific point to focus on, and I understand, because that's the topic and the theme we're on. But I think, when you look at, if we were going to do a comparison of Jay-Z and King Von as artists, I mean, that'd be really, bear in mind, like, you can tell I'm obsessed. Like, I love this shit. Like, that's so interesting. Like, because I think when it comes to Jay-Z, look, as far as I know, okay, Jay-Z has never killed anybody, right? The story is he shot his brother at age 12. His brother was apparently, on a lot of drugs, causing problems for the family, stealing. He was the story of Jay-Z shooting his brother when he was 12 was a really interesting story of this young dude who essentially had to boss up at 12 and become the defender of his family, which is a crazy story, which I guess in a way does bear similarities to King Von, because I think the situation with King Von is, especially at the early stages when we can get into this as a separate debate, but like, if you believe that King Von did kill people, as he said in his lyrics and his tweets, I think when that begun, that was a kill to survive situation. I think Von was defending himself. He was defending his life. He was defending his family's life. And I suppose that's what Jay-Z was doing in that situation where
these are the circumstances for our culture. This is what I'm trying to tell you. This ain't music. This is an element of our culture that involves, at a lot of times, a criminal aspect to it. Right? And we just so happen to be, some of us so happen to be so dope, we can rap about it, but that particular part of it seems to what draws you in, because the way Jay-Z raps is nothing like the way King Von raps, yet you are obsessed with both of them. Go ahead. Let
me tell you why, because bear in mind, this is really interesting. I love this. So I think what's really interesting, and I kind of touched on this in my video, is that you're right. You've got these two guys, Jay-Z and King Von, that essentially they both grew up in really difficult environments. You've got the Marcy Projects in New York. You've got O-Block in Chicago, Parkway Gardens, right? They were both in these situations where they essentially had to fight for their survival. And at some point in both of their lives, they realized and they decided, you know what? Instead of this life of crime, at least in Jay-Z's case, his thing was he was a drug dealer. A lot of his early raps, Reasonable Doubt, Dead Presidents, it's kind of drug dealer mafioso rap. Drill music hadn't even been invented yet, right? But the reason I look up to Jay-Z so much, and I'd say I'm obsessed with him, because he made a change, and he said, I'm going to get out of the streets. I'm going to become a rapper. I'm going to get into the industry, and I'm going to kind of become this businessman. And he got the hell away from all of that kind of the drug dealing in the streets. He made himself a success through his music and became a millionaire. And I think what's really interesting is like when you contrast that with King Von, and I think we'll get into this, but this is why I find King Von as, just to be completely honest, I don't think King Von is necessarily someone to look up to, because I think that you've got someone like Jay-Z where he beat the odds and he broke the cycle and he got out of that situation, became a millionaire, focused on his business, built billion-dollar businesses, became very corporate. Whereas I think if you contrast that with Von got out of the streets, became a millionaire, but it would seem, based on the research that I did, that Von simply was more interested in the beef. He wanted to keep
That's where
funding
you're
the
wrong.
street war. He wanted to arrange hits.
That's what I would
how the way I
disagree
see
with
it.
you, because from outside of our culture, you cannot speak to what he was interested in. You see, sometimes I want you to know this, brother, from Loon, right? And we're debating, so I want you to say whatever you want to say, so we can have a conversation in an open way. But I'm telling you, King Von wasn't as rich as probably you think he was to be able to get out of that situation. The rappers, what I don't think you've picked up along all your research of hip hop in our culture, is that most rap shit in the culture, they con men. They playing con man, they confidence man, right? Whatever they just gotta sell it. They gotta be able to sell it to the consumer. I don't think that somebody like King Von, Jay-Z, I don't think they're the same. I believe that, again, the only thing that they have in common is the criminal element that they both had to face, because our culture provides that to us. Even rapping, just think about the rap style, totally different. Think about the beat selection, totally different. Think about where they come from, totally different. The accent, totally different. Jay-Z, like you said, as soon as he had an opportunity, because he was old when he got his money, he was 28 when he got his deal or something, so he was already an established man. King Von is a young man that's still kind of hooked to this shit that they done start calling Chirac. This shit is a mess up here, homie. This shit is something you can't just check out of this. That's what I'm saying. You don't just turn this game off. This ain't something King Von just can walk away from, right? He don't got the money Dirk had, in my opinion. He don't have the money Dirk had, and I know because I know what it take to get from that. The resources he would have needed to get from that place, I don't think he had yet. But let's not move too far into that. Let's go back to what is the parallel things between King Von and Jay-Z that draws Trap Lord Ross to being somewhat obsessed with both of those guys. Outside of, if it's the criminal element, I need you to acknowledge that and understand that, oh shit, it ain't the hip hop. It ain't really the music shit. I'm starting to glorify a culture that I don't participate in. Because if you are breaking the deals down, if you are breaking, Joe Budden broke up, Frank Ocean $20 million finagle, or Jay-Z even shot his brother, like that's even something but when do you get to this place? You see what I'm saying? But let's focus on Jay-Z and King Von. I'm so obsessed with that conversation. Let's stay there for just a second.
Look, I'll be honest, I do kind of disagree with what you just said, because I think, firstly, I personally think King Von did have the money. He bought his mother a house outside of the city. And bear in mind, I feel like everything you just said, that King Von, he couldn't have possibly got away. Why? How come Chief Keef did?
got away. Chief Keef had real hits, man, and he was rich a long time. You ain't give...
Von was having hits.
You didn't give him the time. These hits nowadays need time to stream well. They need time, bro. They need time. This shit for it to get a lot of streams, it needs time for these guys to get this money and see this money. King Von wasn't in that situation, bro. Chief Keef, if you look at Chief Keef and King Von financially, we talking Chief Keef got on when Kanye West was rolling through, really active in music. That's a long time. Yeah,
but nah, listen, Von stayed independent, and he tweeted that he was turning down multi-million-dollar deals. Don't tell me about tweets, bro. He could have taken a multi-million-dollar deal anytime, and Chief Keef signed a bad label deal, so Chief Keef was kind of down on where King Von was.
That's not true. Chief Keef had hits. He's been a part of producing. He's been a part of too much, bro. He's been a part of too much. King Von didn't even get a chance to get all his features going. He didn't get a chance to really get his feet under him, bro. I ain't talking about the little features like with rap niggas I just run into on tour. I'm talking about he didn't get a chance to really plant, to really, really, really get a good run at the music. Him and Chief Keef financially, that's not a good conversation. Dirk and Chief Keef, Dirk is smothering Keef. But as far as King Von, he didn't have enough money to run away and just check out the game. He didn't have that kind of money. And you're talking to me about tweets, and it's almost disrespectful, but I'm a content creator, so I know I got to deal with this, right? It's cool. I accept it. But, bro, I'm telling you from experience, I had to come out the trenches, my nigga. I come out of this. These niggas don't have the money you think they have, and I'm the nigga they used to come borrow from. They don't have what you think they have, brother. They con men. That's what you ain't. For you to have studied our culture all this time and not know rappers are lying on the mic, or not know that rappers are tweeting bullshit. A lot of them don't know their business. A lot of them in bad deals. These rap dudes are not what they portray to be. But I understand it. When you that far away, you have no clue.
So you're saying Von and Jay-Z, it's all cap?
No, Jay-Z, no, what do you mean? It's not all cap. I'm saying the amount of money that Von needed to be in a situation to check out the game. A game a game that's been developed in a city in America, the powerful country in the world, called Chirac, because it resembles war. Young men being killed. For him to check out of that game, he need a certain amount of money, my brother.
How much?
I don't know. It depends on his family. It depends on how many kids he got. You know what I'm saying? Then it depends on his information, what information he got. Because maybe he had enough money for a nigga with some information. But a young nigga with no information might need a $20 million play to feel like I can really leave from around here because he don't know no better. And dude, trust what I'm telling you. Dude didn't get enough leg room, man. He didn't get to live with those hits long enough to really get to see the money that you probably thinking he had. And turning down a multi-million-dollar deal says nothing to Loon because it's about the terms, not the money. Anytime you get into this business, you learn that it's never about the money. It's always about the terms. So they may have gave him a multi-million-dollar deal to own all this shit. And he's like, no, that don't make sense. Right? So, again, that's my opinion.
Listen, he allegedly had $100,000 to spend on getting his enemies assassinated.
You think that's some
allegedly.
Money?
Listen, if he's got the money to arrange hits after he's already a millionaire, I feel like he has the money to get out of that situation. That's just how I feel.
Let me play into what
we're talking about. Von, we're just talking about Von, though.
Right.
I'm not trying to make a blanket statement about the whole community.
Yeah, let me play into what you're saying as if I'm King Von. And of course, this is alleged. I don't believe this stuff to be true. Anytime I'm speaking to a white man,
we'll go into that next.
Anytime I'm speaking to a white man, ain't nobody killed nobody. Nobody ever killed nobody when I'm speaking to a white man. You hear me? So we can answer that. But I want you to know about the King Von thing. Let me play into what you're saying that he spent $100K. That ain't no money, family. Nigga, $100K. For me, if I gotta knock a few people off to feel safe around here. Because see, that's the thing that I think, again, you're not paying attention to, right? Once they mark me, it's almost like in one of these video games, they got a bounty on me. If I could take care of somebody that got the bounty on me, that might send a message to calm everything down. So some of what I do may be out of safety. But I don't even believe half of the shit that's been reported to the internet. I don't believe that. I don't believe. So we can move on because you can't answer
I got hella answers.
But you can't answer what similarities do Jay-Z and King Von have?
I answered that already. They both came out of difficult environments.
So it is the criminal. It ain't the rapping.
No. So I didn't say anything about criminality. I said they came out of difficult environments where they were disadvantaged.
Difficulty causes you to be in criminal activity.
I didn't say that.
I'm saying that because I grew up in difficulty. That's why I want you to. You talking to a member. You're not talking to a content guy. I'm a member. So I'm telling you, if I grew up in difficulty, I got to deal with criminal activity to get out of difficulty. That's part of what I have to do. So those two gentlemen did that. What about the music do they have in common that draws you to like those two individuals? Seeing that you cited Jay-Z shot his brother at 12, that was one of your first stories, and King Von beef, and his shit is you've been attached to that for a while. Help me understand the similarities.
Well, that's the thing. I think I did kind of touch on this, but I'll kind of go at it again from another angle, which is, the thing that really attracted me to Jay-Z and a lot of other artists is that success story.
Hold on, can we do them together? Say the similar. Can we? Because you'll get me over
they are
in this
different
Jay-Z
artists.
thing.
Like, they are different artists, different people, and they're from a different era.
Right, but similarities. What draws you to? Right, if you like Jay-Z, see, the more you like of this, the less you like of that. Right, if I'm in love with Jay-Z music, Oh my God, I love how Jay-Z just his style, his flow, his like, and then the next person that I love is King Von. Is like, all right, what's the similarities there? Music wise.
I think that's kind of like a sort of you're creating like a sort of false fallacy, because I love King Von and I love King Von's music. I love Jay-Z's music. I love Lil Yachty. I love Yeet. You know, there's Future songs that I like.
Story, a Yachty story. I see
I've
Von
got a couple
and
of
Jay-Z.
Yachty stories. I got Yachty.
Okay. I haven't done
Yeet. I might do Yeet soon. Do Yeet soon.
So, but I'm saying music wise, can we get any clear, distinguishable? What are the similarities?
I feel like I've given my answer, but you're not accepting it.
Okay, let's move on, because maybe the people will say, "Hey, I got the answer," because I don't hear it. I'm not hearing hip hop when you say, "Well, they come from a different," the adversity.
Well, okay, let me just try and add a little bit more to that, because I think maybe I need to just communicate a little bit more context, because I think they both come from these difficult environments. And if I get to the next stage, their music, Von's music, and Jay-Z's music, and hell, Lil Durk's music too. These artists that I'm really into, the music gives you a window into that environment. I didn't grow up in O Block. I've never been to the Marcy Projects. Maybe one day, who knows? But listening to this music, like listening to King Von's music and Jay-Z's music, they're both amazing rappers. Like, say what you want about what Von did in the streets, but when he got on the mic and he started rapping, he was amazing. He told amazing stories, vivid, deep storytelling, which you could definitely say the same thing about Jay-Z. And they would build a picture. There's old Jay-Z songs and there's King Von songs. You put on the headphones, you shut your eyes, and you listen to that description of roaches on the walls, you know what I'm saying? People fighting outside the front door in Marcy or whatever. And he paints a picture, and you look, I haven't been there. I can't say I know what it's like, but I would listen to Jay-Z songs and King Von songs, and it gives me a window, like an insight into this lifestyle that these guys are living. And it's those stories, those pieces of art that they've made, which is a talent, a skill. Like, Von was a talented artist. He was able to paint a picture of O Block so that someone like me that had never been there would maybe get, a small percentage of understanding of what it's like what he went through and his story. And both Jay-Z and King Von, through, I think, painting these pictures of the experiences that they had been through, that talent was rewarded by the music industry, and they both became very successful. Now, we disagree on how successful Von became, and that's fine, but I think that's the thing I just want to communicate, is it's the storytelling and the artistry that I think puts them together. Because let's be real, no disrespect to anybody, but the artistry of, say, a King Von and a Rondo Number 9, it's on a different level. The way King Von told a story and painted a picture is above damn near 95% of Chicago rappers, full stop. Right, Von was a legend because of how good his art was.
So I know some people gonna say, Loon, his hip hop card has to be revoked at this point. He's comparing Jay-Z music to King Von's music. Can you tell me any similarities between drill music and drug dealer music? Like, this is not a comparison, bro, in my opinion. And I'm saying, I'm a hip hop baby, so I gotta put my side out. Like, that's your side. You feel as though some storytelling that King Von is doing, aligns with what Jay-Z did. When I say Jay-Z did drug dealer rap, he did struggle drug dealer rap, and King Von is doing drill music. I don't see any.
But that's a struggle. The drill music is about a struggle. Bear in mind, drill music developed over 10, 15 years after the kind of mafioso rap. Because you got someone like Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z's music influenced a new generation of people like, let's say, I don't know, Rick Ross, who, I know you're saying a lot of rappers are phony. I'm not going to say they're phony. I say they exaggerate. They're con men. Not phony. They just exaggerate. But Rick Ross is probably a perfect example of that. As they say, he was a corrections officer, but then he's on the mic talking about he's selling 100 kilos of coke, right? So he's a good example of that. Whereas I think Jay-Z is more authentic. But regardless, you got someone like Jay-Z, and that form of mafiosa gangster rap is sort of evolving. Then you have people like Rick Ross emerging.
But that involved into Rick Ross. That didn't involve into King Von. What King Von was the evolvement of a Chief Keef.
Yeah,
right. So
Chief
again,
Keef,
this is what.
But bear in mind,
these are not fruit.
Keef,
hip hop has fruit off trees, right? There's fruit off. And you say you study hip hop, so you should know that. Like, when you look at the Jay-Z thing, you see a Ross, you see a Meek, you see this is the fruit off of that J tree. What King Von landed had nothing to do with that. with the drug dealer mafioso style rapping shit, right? That's
the thing that bridges them together, I would say the thing that bridges those two genres of music together is trap music. I'm talking like 2006 Atlanta, like Gucci Mane, because the whole trap music era of like Gucci Mane, you know what I'm saying, all of his different trap music type things, even like T.I., the sort of like rubber band man, that was all about drug dealing. But I think over time this Atlanta wave of trap, where you had like Gucci Mane catching a murder case and then he's jumping on songs talking about go dig your partner up, I think trap music over time became quite violent, but that was born out of sort of drug dealer rap. Then you had people like T.I., Gucci Mane talking about we're trapping in Atlanta at the Texaco,
Gucci Mane,
and then that genre
Gucci
of music
Mane
got
was
more
alone,
violent.
right? Gucci Mane was alone in that. Trap music was
Nah,
rolling.
man.
Who else was like really dissing, doing something? He kind of started the wave. He really didn't. Nobody else was really doing that in the South. You had Tip doing drug dealer rap. You had Jeezy drug dealer rap. Ross drug dealer rap. Everybody just was kind of rap, or they were dancing. Nobody else was doing the diss shit. The diss shit.
No.
Go ahead.
But that's what I'm trying to say is that, like, in my opinion, this is just me. I'm just cooking here off the top of my head, right?
And me too.
If I'm wrong, fair enough. But it's a good conversation. But I personally think, if I was just going to give my honest opinion, I think it was trap music that came from the kind of gangster rap, mafioso rap, where you had people like T.I., Jeezy, then the Jeezy Gucci beef escalated into violence, and then I think trap music became slightly more violent. But then it was like, Chief Keef came out, you're talking like 2010 in Chicago, but he was not the original first person to do drill. Like, you had a guy in you had a guy in Chicago called Pac-Man that was creating what was called drill music, and that was like heavily Atlanta inspired to begin with, because a lot of these early Chief Keef beats, they're kind of like really sort of hard, sort of like reformulated versions of trap beats,
because
like
the South run the game.
Beats.
You got to tap into the South to be effective, right? We got all the ears.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
So
I think
you're talking about the
like
beats. I'm talking about the content. So the content.
Yeah.
When you dealt with the Gucci man, he stood on a mountain alone dissing. He was dissing because that beef did allegedly turn into something. So he was dissing. Nobody else was dissing. Right now.
But. When this is the thing though, is like when Chief Keef first came out, the music wasn't necessarily all about dissing. And I think this goes back to what I was saying about why Von, I think, is a good artist. Because I think the same reason why Chief Keef was such a good artist is when he came out in like 2010, he's dropping songs like 300 or like I Don't Like. Those beats, you know, we're talking like young chop beats that are kind of, they're quite Atlanta focused, but then they're sort of like, they've got their own completely unique original flavor. And those songs originally, like Chief Keef at the start, he was repping his crew, but he was never dissing. The whole Smoking Tuka thing, that didn't come until a couple years later, right?
But so they were drilling, right?
Genre got more
when they're
violent.
talking about drilling, like, see, in the South, again, it was drug dealer rap. It was, you know, got a Bentley on 24s. Yeah, you know, it was that. Up there, it was looking for them niggas with the heater. What them niggas, it was like I'm hunting, I'm outside, I'm with the shit. That's you talking about beats. I'm talking about content, right?
But that's the thing. I think I'm trying to talk about it holistically, but I think both things influence each other. But I think you're right. You know, when Chief Keef was first picking up steam, he wasn't drug dealing. He wasn't making money. He wasn't riding in a Bentley on the block. They were just, you know, they were just sitting around saying that they don't like the ops, basically.
It's
but
like,
that's the thing. But he was the originator. That's the thing. I think it's important to remember. I think the beats were influenced by Atlanta, and it's sort of like 2006 Atlanta era, trap era. That was the biggest thing. Chief Keef kind of came along. He took elements of that. He put his new spin on it. It's all Chicago. It's all about violence because he's growing up in that environment. And then over time, Chicago drill became the biggest thing going, and it got more and more violent. But Chief Keef's earliest songs, they're not all about dissing and drilling. A lot of it's just sort of about, you know, we're on the block, we're smoking, like giving people a what's the word, like a window into his environment, like we're growing up in Parkway.
What I was hearing is like I don't like and all of that shit was a bunch of young niggas with guns. They had never seen no shit like this. This had never, nigga, what? Bunch of niggas with AKs and SKs and videos talking about we looking for them niggas, bet not come over here with that bullshit. That's the fruit that King Von came up under. Right? I'm telling you that that's something totally different than what was happening in the South. We will show you the big cars. We'll try to show you the house that ain't ours, the Bugatti that ain't ours, the Bentley that ain't ours, somebody necklaces that ain't ours. We trying to make you bite into it. Up there, them young niggas look dirty with them choppers.
But the thing is, I think all of these different eras of hip hop over the years have influenced the next. And then even between that, between the sort of like trap Atlanta wave and the Chicago drill wave, then you've got people like, there's been a whole long history of a lot of music coming out of like Louisiana, New Orleans, the Cash Money, Lil Wayne stuff, which that was a really interesting era because that was more like the bling era, Cash Money. It was all about showing off diamonds, cars, the Bentleys. But then there was also a little bit of an undertone of violence of, this painting a picture of this environment, the Magnolia Projects,
culture,
bodies dropping,
not violence, culture. You view it as violence from the outside. It's culture from the inside, right? All right.
Sure. No, I agree. But that's the content of the music, and I'm only saying that. I'm only pinpointing that violence as to say that came before we had someone like Chief Keef. I don't think Chief Keef was the first person to ever think, I'm going to hop on a song and say I'm going to shoot someone. He wasn't
but blatantly ARs, AKs in the video, Betnock, that was the first time this was ever seen. That changed Chicago. That whole wave right there changed Chicago, and Von them was under that. They come up under the world that shit was created in. Down south, that wasn't happening yet. Now it's happening. Now our young niggas got to. I'm telling you what I know. See and that's what I'm saying, bro. I'm telling you, I'm a member of this. I'm telling you what 100% I know in the South. We was not rocking like that. When them young niggas done that, it turned our young niggas up. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And I think something that I want to say that's really interesting that maybe people miss. Look, you can tell I'm no gang banging dude, but at the same time, when I moved back to London, I didn't have a lot of money. I lived in an area that was kind of rough. And essentially, before my YouTube channel really took off and went anywhere, I actually became, you used the word earlier, obsessed. Maybe that's the right word. Maybe that's the wrong word. But I was living in a hood, let's say, right? I was living in a block that was affiliated with a very well-known group of drill rappers in London called 410, right? I was living in their area and beginning to learn about all the music and the stuff that was going on in the area. Like, these guys have a music video that they filmed, like, in the building that I lived in, right? So I was sort of living in London and experiencing, and bear in mind, all of the London UK drill originally, it was heavily influenced by Chicago drill. So bear in mind, we don't have guns as much in the UK, but we've got guys with music videos where they're holding knives and machetes at the camera. It's the whole gang in balaclavas putting all of that stuff into their music. And there were a lot of murders in the area that I was living in. And, I would go and sort of see the crime scene and then go and hear about the song that was talking about the murder that had happened in my area in London. But a lot of that stuff was influenced by Chicago. And what I'm trying to say is that I actually agree with what you're saying. I'm not saying I was involved, but when I moved back to London, I was living in an area where this kind of drill music wave was taking influence. And that was something that, to me, that was like, it was very interesting. It really made me reflect on the influence of Chicago drill, because if you don't know too much about the UK drill scene, it's so heavily influenced by Chicago. And you've got a lot of these young guys in the UK and London running around with knives trying to do the Chicago thing. They want to get known for killing their ops and rapping about it.
Well, at least for over here, again, see, I have respect for culture, so I can't say why they doing it. But over here, I know that it's a fight to get out this shit. So if they think that I get turned up, if I'm a real one, if that's what get me turned up is that I stick by what I say, then they gonna do that. You see, and they lost in that, right? Let's talk about because we'll move on from the Jay-Z and King Von thing. Let's speak about when you got to a place to make the King Von documentary. What made you name King Von a serial killer?
Yeah, so I had covered King Von when he was still alive. So I did 3 videos about Von, and in one of those videos, I mentioned the whole situation with KI, where he had years of history beefing with this girl on Twitter, saying that he wanted to kill her, saying that he was trying to catch her, saying that he'd beaten her up. Whether or not you want to believe the stuff that's said on Twitter is real. A&E made a documentary about King Von and KI, and he was in the documentary talking about their beef. And, I covered that story whilst King Von was still alive. And that was actually before the Chicago police had come out and said that, they believed that he was the culprit in that case. So I had covered King Von and it's in my No Jumper interview with Adam 22. But essentially, this was when Von was alive and Von and his crew pressed me. They got in touch and they were going to take my channel down. They did 3 copyright strikes on my channel. They said my videos had songs in them, Von songs, which they didn't. And they were going to take the channel down. And, they got in touch with me and they basically said to me...
Was this after the documentary or before? This is the earlier stories.
This is 2020, okay. When Von's alive, yeah. Because he was like tweeting around about this stuff. But they basically said to me, like, if you go in the channel dashboard and edit out any of the mentions of this girl, we'll let you have your channel back, basically. And I was kind of shook. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I did it. They let me have my channel back. I was like, I'm not going to talk on Von again. Shit got too real, to be honest. But the weird thing that I found is that, as time went on, I'm not covering Von anymore, but his star continues to rise. He gets more and more famous. He's Billboard charting. He's performing huge venues. He's catching this case with Lil Durk. And so time keeps going on and more Von lyrics are coming out. And like we said earlier, I would say that I did become obsessed with Von as an artist. I became obsessed with his music. Anytime Von dropped a song or a feature,
you say that
I
like
to listen.
You do know that's not healthy though.
Listen,
obsession is not healthy, Trap.
I agree. I don't think it's normal to make a 3.5 hour video about anything. So I'm a weirdo,
okay,
and I'll take that.
That's legit.
Take that.
You a gangster for you keeping it gangster.
It's not normal, bro. I'm not a normal dude. So that is what it is. But as time was going on, I was seeing more and more Von songs come out. And let's be real, like whether or not you believe Von did anything or did the things he said, he was dropping. He dropped like 5 or 6 songs where he said, I have 7 bodies. There's I think it's the Audio Mac freestyle. He says, let's talk about bodies. I got several. And then in the ad libs, he's saying, I got 7. He's got that other song where he says, let's talk bodies. I got a few, 3 plus 4. What does he say? 4 plus 3, 3 plus 2. Counting his bodies. He's got another lyric where he says, he's talking about, I don't want to say the word, but it's a word beginning with D that's used to refer to lesbian women. But he's saying, I shoot everybody in the N words and the D words in this bitch, saying he shoots women. And over time, because I'd already done research into Von's story and got in trouble for it, I was kind of thinking like, I can't believe he is still out here saying this stuff, saying more stuff. And just like, I was watching it thinking any day now, this guy's going to catch the RICO and get arrested, surely. And that's just as a fan. And so I was honestly a big fan of Von's music. It was heartbreaking to find out that he died, when he passed away. That was very unexpected.
Von. Hold on. Man. Do you believe everything that rappers rap about?
I don't believe everything rappers rap about.
So you do believe that there's some room for lies, for lack of a better term, for exaggeration in raps?
Absolutely. And, we spoke a minute ago about Rick Ross. Rick Ross was one of these artists where it sort of was an open secret that he was embellishing his past. But here's the thing that I think I find really frustrating about the bad reaction to my Von video. When Von was alive, all anyone wanted to talk about was Von is the realist. Von really about what he says. Von the realist. Von really did this shit. And so for everybody to kind of come out now after I've analyzed his lyrics and say it's all cap, it just to me seems really disingenuous, because the whole point, the whole appeal was that Von was real.
Let me answer that. Real in comparison, right? A lot of the rap shit's so fake. If he 20% if he 10% of what he was saying, he really see that again. It's off. You really don't know what you're looking at, right? You hearing it, but you don't know what the backdrop is. I would say that it's in comparison. When I say I'm the richest nigga in the room, that's right. Into Baby walk in the room, I'm talking to my dogs. I'm the richest around this motherfucker. Till Lil Baby show up, he the richest. Till P show up, he the richest. Till J show up. You see what I'm saying? So it's in comparison to. So people who know rappers, who have been engaged with rappers, have found themselves engaged with Von and said, oh, he a little different than these rap niggas. These rap niggas. Because when you get behind the scenes somewhere you probably never haven't been yet, right? Because your journalistic the way you do your thing could get you some places. You might not have been there yet, but once you get behind the scenes and get to see, oh shit, right? And not that all these rappers are fake. I want you to know that they are not running criminal enterprises. They don't have, a lot of these guys were not the biggest dope boy even in their own neighborhoods. So for even Von to be a shot caller where he come from, it's just he different than these rap niggas, cause these rap niggas come up under somebody most time. Right? So I think because Von came in with a little bit of rep on this belt, whether that's as much as you believe it to be or as little as other people believe it to be, just having some in comparison to most rappers places him as amongst the realest in the game.
I get what you're saying. I do agree with you. You know, there's different levels of realness, and you know, there's people supposedly with more bodies than Von. Like you say, you know, Von's not the biggest killer that's ever been alleged.
I know
out
you.
Here.
I hate this.
No, but that's
Yeah,
the topic.
go ahead.
That's the topic. Like, and you know, I appreciate what you're saying, and there is a spectrum of realness when it comes to rap. You know, you got your Rick Ross, you got your Lil Babies, you got your King Von, you got your Take A's. Okay, and so there is a spectrum. But come on, man, you can't tell me that when King Von was alive, people were saying he was 20% real. The whole appeal, the whole marketing
real.
package for King Von was that Von was 100% the realest out. That's what everyone said. Come on.
But again, you guys from outside the culture, your scales are off. When people are saying he's 100% real, he's real, what they're saying is in comparison to the rappers. He's not the realest street dude. He's not the biggest killer in the world. None of that shit. And we don't talk about killings. I even hate talking about that kind of shit, right? But
Von did. Von loved talking about killings.
But again, I believe Von to be an artist. I believe Von to be painting some picture from where he come from. I believe the circumstances around Von, what he saw was that detrimental to his vision. You know, I believe his mouth to be just a portal from what his mind have seen. That's what I believe. I don't know that him had been doing all of that, bro, without any conviction of those things. That's me. That's me being in the trenches. You ain't never been to the trenches. And I'm trying to get you to understand that when they say that King Von is one of the realest, or he the realest in the game, these rap dudes do as flawed shit as to give you their phone number and then don't answer the text. You know, these rap... what I'm telling you, they not talking the criminal element that I believe you to be talking about. Now, here's another element to it I want you to understand. Most of these guys broke. So when they go do Say Cheese TV interviews and Cam Capone interview, they need that check. The Vlad, they need that check. I'm going to say what need to be said to be booked. I need to be booked. I'm trying to pay my bills. Now, I ain't putting no whole bunch of, you know, I'm going to put a little something on it. I ain't going, but I'm going to say what need to be said for him to bring me back and we build on this. You know what I'm saying? So I need you to understand that everything ain't with no convictions. I'm curious as to how you got to a place where you were able to put all this together and call this guy a serial killer. When you went from making content to giving niggas diagnosis.
See, here's the thing, right? I feel like this is where we're going to get into it, because I just think it's so wrong and disingenuous for all of these people to come out and, you know, essentially gaslight the victims of Von and act as if these murders never happened. Because you've got at least 7 people who are dead, and Von, sure, he wasn't convicted. This is the funny thing. People keep saying, oh, the Malcolm Stuckey murder, Von was put on trial, he was never convicted. Fine, but he said he killed the witness. And, you know, there's to a certain degree, if somebody doesn't get convicted of a crime, that's one thing. But if they're saying, I got away with it because I killed the witness, I think at a certain point, you just have to say, okay, there's more to this than just were they convicted or not. Because Von's on a bunch of songs saying he killed 7 people.
You can't
tweeting,
call these people
minutes
Von
after
victim
murders
without any conviction. How can you do that?
You can, because I think there's more ways of proving whether or not something happened. And bear in mind, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not trying to convict Von.
Well, that's exactly what you're doing, Trap. When you're saying his victims, you're convicting them.
I'm proving his own lyrics. He's on a song saying I've got 7 bodies, and I'm saying, well, who are they? Let me look into it. And I've looked into it. I found them.
You
and
think
I'm saying,
you found them? He never named anyone.
He's tweeting.
He never named anyone.
Yes, he did. He's always saying all these different people that he was smoking on. Like, and he did, like, he's on Twitter talking about who made Crack World, and a guy called Crack got killed days before, and he's tweeting
well, that's Chicago
like,
culture.
That's
another poison that's in the water in Chicago. They do that kind of shit. Like, I can tell you right now that they got people that's on RICO charges and shit because they on the phone saying shit that ain't true. You know, they on the phone flexing to their homeboy, man, I've been doing good today. I made 100 racks today, boy. That shit is being you.
But that's not Von. Von was the
how
realist.
Was he a realist?
If
he was so real.
If Von was alive, if Von was alive, then you were calling him Cap.
Take him at his word, though.
You know what I'm saying? How would he have reacted?
At his word. A lot of those clips you cut out, right? A lot of those clips when he was talking, when he might say, "How many bodies I got? How many bodies I got, y'all? How many bodies I got?"
He swore on O.D. Perry's life. He swore on O.D. Perry's life. He got more than 5 bodies. This is what he's doing. I want you to look at what you are pulling from what he's doing. And I want you to say what's disingenuous. Yo, how many bodies I got? Look, y'all. Look, they said I got, look, they put 5, 6, they put, the motherfucker said I got 7. Ding, 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 they right, I got 7. Nah, I'm just playing. You cut out the nah, I'm just playing. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said on O.D. Perry's life, I got more than 5 bodies. I'm talking about,
in a lot of those clips, he would say, I'm just bullshitting. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. You would take that out the clip. You would just take the front part when he would say, nigga, I got 4 bodies. They better quit playing with us. And he might say, I'm just playing in that same clip. You ignore that. But yet you taking him at his word.
He swore on his closest homie's life that he got more than 5 bodies. Like,
that don't mean nothing, bro. You don't hear, listen, and I ain't talking about Von.
If you swore on your closest homie's life, was that
have you ever sworn on somebody's life? Who?
Yes.
You ever had somebody die that you swore on their life, like in the field, in some kind of street war or something like that? You ever did that?
No,
all right, so I want you to check out of this one because you ain't never done this one.
I feel like, if we take a step back, right, I think there's just something important that I really want to communicate, which is it's like, I understand where you're coming from, and I think you're rightfully trying to give me an education on how you see this with your cultural perspective, and I do respect that, but I also think that it's important for you to see things from maybe an outsider perspective and say, if a guy is running around saying he killed 7 people, and he's got a whole industry behind him saying, this guy is the realist, he is no cap, at what point, as a group of people that are fans of music, say, look, Von was supposedly the realist. He said he killed 7 people. Here's the names of the 7 people that died, and he's tweeting, ha ha, 6 shots to the face minutes after they died. At what point can we all just say, look, like as a community, we've got to put our hands up and say murder is wrong, right? You got whole
murder is wrong, and I'm not caping for Von because I don't know what he done. I'm telling you though that you don't know what he done, and anything said without context can be misunderstood. So
Von told me what he did.
No, listen, Von ain't told you nothing. Your obsession told you everything. Right? Von ain't communicating nothing with you. Your interpretation, you calling these people victims, you diagnosing this man without any convictions or any real evidence based on your understanding of a culture you're not a part of. Here I am, an outstanding member, telling you that it's cap on rap shit. Outstanding member. And you won't accept it. You telling me that they saying Von is the realest. I agree. Von may be the realest, but compared to these fuck niggas, they not comparing Von to the street guys. He rapping now. He trying to save his family now. He one of the realest in this game because this game is full of bullshit. A whole bunch of people that ain't even from the culture. That's what's wrong with this game now.
So let's say I accept your argument fully. You know, I denounce my opinions. I completely accept your argument. What you're saying to me is that all of Von's lyrics are cap and he never killed anyone.
I'm saying that's your argument. Von is an artist. You're listening to music with millions of dollars of production involved in it. You haven't listened in on an inside conversation or any intimate details with him and his family. You're listening to production, to music. This shit has a marketing budget. So this is creative talk. This is something you should accept if you're not the victim. If you're not somebody that had to bury somebody that could have been the reason this situation happened, you need to accept this as creativity because you don't know nothing else. Anything else is assumption because you ain't been involved. And if I'm telling you as an outstanding member that the rap shit, it's a lot of room in that. And I ain't calling the rap brothers all cap. I want my rap friends to know. But I'm telling you, the streets is a weird place, homie. The streets is a fucking weird place that you ain't never, ever, ever seen. I'm telling you, for them dudes to survive down there, they had to operate a certain way. I don't see him having enough money to get out of that at that time when he passed away. Again, R.I.P. Vaughn, because we just talking about a man like a man, mama ain't involved. And that's what I need you to understand. When you running around without any kind of degree or diploma, diagnosing men in a culture you ain't had nothing to do with, what about his mama? We get selfish chasing this shit.
What about the 7 mothers of the people that he allegedly
What are
killed?
you giving them by? What are you giving them by making a YouTube documentary in which you the only one benefit from? They didn't get nothing from that documentary, homie.
What about the millions of dollars Von made making music, making fun of their dead relatives?
What got to do with that is what I'm saying.
Because I'm reporting on it, because it's facts.
That's okay. So you're gonna just call it facts. You're gonna just call
it, bro. Okay, but like, here's the thing,
funny,
okay,
bro.
No, but here's the thing, okay, but not to be disrespectful, but I think I got a 3.5-hour documentary going piece by piece into Von's own statements that he said he killed people, he killed witnesses. These are Von's own statements, right? And your argument is it's all cap, and I just don't.
I'm arguing that it's entertainment. You're dealing with shit that's on beats with production that's been put out to the public. See, you're framing it like you got it like the FBI, like you done tap somebody's phone, like you listened in on a hell of a conversation. You listening to music, and entertainers speak creatively out in public, and then you going home with your obsession and creating some sort of thing out of our culture when I'm trying to tell you, hey, homie, listen to me, homie. Nah, they saying Von one of them real niggas in this rap game. This rap game flaw. Anytime we talking, ain't nobody really from my culture gonna sit next to you and say Von killed anybody. Understand that.
That I agree, and I think that's disgusting.
Why?
Because you've got 7 people who allegedly lost their lives at the hands of this man, and I think they deserve justice or at least closure.
Closure don't come through you though when you in the UK, homie.
Disrespecting them by denying the facts.
Listen. This is the problem I even have with 1090. Closures don't come through you. Closure for them folks don't come through no white man in the UK with all due respect. Cause I like
Von is unfortunately, no longer with us. What do you say about the 5 people who are currently in custody for the murder of FBG Duck?
What do you mean? What do I say? I say RIP to FBG Duck. I'm a general. Right? So I ain't involved in them niggas beef. I'm coming from the South with some game. I'm a game bang. I put game down. I got rich from talking. I'm letting folks know how to elevate from out of that water that you keep commenting on. That damn near drowned me. That drowned a lot of my homeboys. I'm teaching niggas how to get out of that. And I'm trying to tell you, homie. But you don't want to accept because you keep talking to me. I don't want nobody to die in this culture. R.I.P. Duck, Von, anybody, all them niggas. I hope all us understand that we kings and to rise up. But I'm telling you that the understanding of our culture is off when you talking about it. You diagnosed a man. What about his children? They got a gross. Damn, he called him a serial killer. He ain't even been convicted.
This is a really interesting one because a lot of people say this to me, and no one seems to think like his children will grow up hearing him in a million songs talk about he's got 7 bodies and he's smoking hookah.
You made a documentary damn near like the news, speaking with conviction.
He's been on the news a million times. Was the Atlanta local news wrong for talking about him catching an alleged murder, an attempted murder case? Like,
no, but
I'm reporting on the facts.
Listen to what I'm saying. The way that the news reported is totally different. They report someone was arrested for a crime. You reported that a man was a serial killer. You gonna put them two on? You talking to Loon? I've got Rich talking, brother. I listen. You talking to me? You telling me them the same? Cause they say, yo, rapper King Von, rapper Lil Durk arrested. You telling me that's the same from you sitting down saying King Von, rap's first serial killer. A nigga ain't never did nothing that got nothing to do with nothing. Don't even.
Again, he didn't. You can't say he did nothing.
I'm talking about you.
You can't say he did nothing.
I'm saying your interpretation of it. I'm saying you looking at it, but I think you reading it wrong. That's my perception. I'm
King Von.
Go ahead.
King Von meets the FBI definition of a serial killer.
That's false.
That's facts. That's fact.
That's false. Pull it up.
He does. It's in the video, man.
That's
Go
false,
check in the video.
bro.
It's in
I
there.
looked it
it's
up.
In there. It's facts, bro. It's facts.
He is not a serial killer.
More than three murders.
He
in
has
different
been
locations,
convicted
separated
of
by more than a month of time. He said he killed the witness. He said he killed the witness. He said he killed the witness.
Trap Lord Ross, have you ever lied?
It's either all cap.
Have you ever lied, Trap Lord Ross?
Yeah, I'm sure I've lied.
Let's keep it that in. We all human, right? Have you ever exaggerated, Trap Lord Ross? Have you ever been... Hold on, Trap Lord Ross.
Okay,
have you ever been paid
let's do it.
to exaggerate, Trap Lord Ross? We trying to get out the ghetto, brother.
Never been
hey,
paid
listen.
to exaggerate.
People like you so infatuated with our culture and the criminal element of it. They paying us. We trying to get out the ghetto, homie. You don't think we'll put a little cap on it to come out the ghetto? You niggas like you obsessed with me. I can sell you any goddamn thing if I'm King Von. You don't think I'm gonna put a little something on it?
Von really did it, and everyone said he was real. Everybody said when Von was alive, Von is the realist, no cap. Von called out Youngboy and said, "You got cap in your raps." You saying Von had cap in his raps like he told Youngboy?
I'm saying that we will exaggerate if we're paid to exaggerate.
But we're not. Unfortunately, I don't want to characterize the whole group.
No, because I want you to know that he's.
One man.
I'm not talking about Von. This is the whole point. I'm trying to get you to understand.
I am.
Yeah, because you're obsessed with Von. But I'm telling you that this Von is a product of the culture. Our culture produces a certain thing. We are trying to get out of our circumstances. All we ever had was ball playing and rapping. Nigga, they done told us that they'll pay us if we exaggerate. He might be the realest nigga in the world. I might be the realest, but if I get on the rap and can't no nigga say I'm lying, like me, I might tell a nigga, I sold 1,000 bricks in a day. Who gonna say I'm lying when they know I had them? They can't count. Listen.
But if you said you were selling 1,000 bricks a day and you'd been in court for selling bricks and you beat the case and you were on a song saying I killed the witness, like I just think that's. I'm just talking about Von. I'm not trying to characterize an entire group of people.
But you gotta understand
there are plenty of cap rappers. There are plenty of cap rappers. Von wasn't one of them.
No. Listen, I want you to understand that the rap culture is exaggerated, sir.
I agree.
I'm trying to help you understand that the cars isn't a lot of these guys. Some of the jewelry is rented. The culture is exaggerated. You are so obsessed with it that you have bitten this shit and believe that you've taken tweets and diagnosed a man. What the fuck do you say to that?
Well, as I said before, I am a weirdo. Like, not many people want to sit and make a 3.5-hour documentary on Von. So I don't know. I can't tell you why, but all I will tell you is that I read every single tweet King Von ever made in his entire life, which not a lot of people are trying to do. And that's a weird thing, and that's obsessive, and people might say that's sus or something.
That means your mind was made up when you done it.
Not at all.
You knew what you was looking for, Trap.
No. That's the thing. I read every tweet King Von ever made because I was doing the story. My intention for this story, and I've said it before, I was trying to debunk. I was actually not hoping, but I was thinking Von said a million times, I got 7 bodies. Talk about bodies, I got several. Bodies, I got a few, 3 + 4. Von was talking about he had 7 bodies. My intention for this project
He wasn't talking about it. He was rapping about it, and it's on music that's produced and has millions of dollars involved with it. They pay our rappers to project
and he's
violence.
On IG Live saying, on IG Live saying he got more than 5.
Bro, they pay our rappers to project violence. They've taught our rappers to exaggerate criminal culture and sell it to our children. They've taught our rappers to do that.
I'm not disagreeing.
I'm telling you this, brother, and
I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm talking about Von.
Yeah, but you're taking his tweets, no convictions. You're taking his tweets and diagnosing him without a degree or diploma.
I'm going by the FBI definitions, and you did say earlier, you said, if there was an FBI conviction. Well, I'm going by the FBI definition of a serial killer. I'm going by the tweets where he himself said he killed this person, killed that person.
That's where you went
wrong
right there.
He said, I can name 5 GDs I done killed. He said, this is 8 years before he was rapping. He said, I killed 5 GDs.
I'll even give you the fact.
That's before the rap.
I'll even give you the fact if you want to go by the FBI definition. But that next sentence is where you're wrong. When you said, all right, I'm going by the FBI definition, and I'm also going by his tweets. Well, that's where you're wrong. You're going by a man's tweets. Have you ever tweeted anything that you didn't do? Have you ever lied on a tweet? Misrepresented anything on an Instagram post? Misrepresented anything on social media? Or you just that one guy out there that's never, ever put nothing on social media that in the moment? Like I posted the other day. I'll give you an example. Just today, I had to delete it. Because I told somebody, I hit my ex, and I told her, because she been good to me. I said, I'm going to send you a 50 piece. You been real good to me, man. I'm going to send you 50 racks. Don't you know she just liked the thing? She didn't say thank you. so I didn't send it. And I posted about it. I said, how about I just told this motherfucker, I said I would go sit her, and then girls go to comment. I had to delete it. Because it wasn't even, it's like, damn, I done got it. I let my emotions trick me. So have you ever posted something that wasn't true or that you exaggerated?
This is a good question. I'll be completely honest. I probably have a long time ago, but I personally, in my own life, with a maturity of maybe the last 5 or 6 years, and before, like during the whole having success on YouTube, my personal philosophy on life is I don't respect lying, or I don't really respect. I think it's dishonorable to lie about your circumstances, to try and present yourself as something you're not. I don't wear fancy jewelry. I don't wear fancy clothes. Like, I got a nice set of shoes, maybe, but like even though I love hip hop and I like, I'm familiar with the flashy element of hip hop, I try and live a humble and honest life because those are my personal values.
You lied when you called him a serial killer without convictions. That was a lie.
I disagree because I think that there's plenty of other evidence. I'm not trying to convict him in a court of law. I'm just trying to make my opinion. That's the only way you can convict a man. My opinion.
Bro, you can't supersede the court of law. You can't supersede the court of law, especially on a murder.
He did. He said he killed a witness. He did.
Yo, you're superseding the court of law. They don't even call him a murderer at all. You skip all of that and call him a serial killer.
I believe if Von was still alive, he would be in the RICO case with the 5 people who killed FBG Duck, and I think they would have indicted him for other murders. That's my genuine belief.
And hey, salute to your belief, but we can't eat off beliefs. Beliefs don't do a nigga a damn thing. That shit don't mean nothing. Let me ask you this. What the fuck was I finna ask you? What was we just talking about, Trap?
My personal beliefs, not flashing and presenting yourself as something you're not.
Oh. Yeah, okay. So online, you've never, this is what I was gonna say. I believe you know this, you're a content creator. Do you know that there's an arena where you benefit from lying online?
Yes, I know that's true. But here's the thing, my whole thing, and if you watch my videos, anybody that is a fan of me will say my thing for all the years that I've been making content, I try and keep everything as real, as factual. I do a lot more research than other channels. I try and look, nobody else is looking at every tweet King Von ever did. And there's been loads of other videos about him being a serial killer.
Why did you do that, King Von. Man? What made you?
There was a video about... well, that's the thing. I'll go back to what I was saying a minute ago. Is that I heard Von say in so many songs he killed 7 people that I was like, I just want to check. I want to find out. Did he kill 7 people or not? Is there anything to go on? And one of the things Von was famous for was tweeting about his ops. It's known. All of his tweets are still there on Twitter. I just went all the way back to the start and I said, you know what? Let me just read these and I'll just see what I can learn. And I'll be honest, I was genuinely surprised once I started going through and then realizing, hang on, he's saying here like LOL. Who died today? And then I'm looking at the news article for the guy that died, and it's 15 minutes before he tweeted. So I just keep going through his tweets, and I'll be honest, man.
Looking for a nail, man.
I can understand. I can understand why you think that. But I'm telling you that's not the case. You had the music
already, so you're like, yo, he killed 7 people. All I'm looking for now is clues to put together 7 things that the police didn't put together.
Sure, but I didn't know. This is the thing, right? When you are right, but when I started looking at his tweets, I didn't know that I would find all of this stuff where he's literally tweeting after the murder, shot him in 6 shots to the face, LMAO and shit, or like who died, early bird gets the worm when somebody's been killed that morning. Like it's and I'll admit, look, I'm not a federal investigator. I've got no convictions for Von. And because Von, everybody said Von was the realest rapper. He's on the song saying he's got 7 bodies.
Everybody?
I looked up. Dirk, millions of interviews where Dirk's saying Von's the realist. There's hella interviews with Dirk saying Von's the realist. The rap industry. Lil Durk, I mean, I'm not
Give me
up
5
now,
people.
There are okay. Lil Durk said Von's the realist.
Look how hard this is for you to just guarantee me.
Because this is from memory.
Shit.
No, I'll give it to you. And
I believe Von to be real, but I'm saying
take opponent. Take opponent. Let me get my 5 people off.
I don't even know who that is.
Tay 600. But this is what I mean. I know. So Tay 600's on interviews talking about King Von was up in the morning, ready to drill at 7 a.m. and
he's being paid for interviews, paid interviews. You're taking all this out of context. Again, you're acting like the feds and thinking that you're getting in on tap conversations or you're privy to some information. These are interviews that people are being paid for. rap lyrics that King Von is being paid for that incentivize our rappers to lie and exaggerate criminal culture to our children, and you bit the bait, and you're telling me an outstanding member.
But here's the thing, and I'm enjoying this conversation because I think it's good, and it's interesting to hear the different perspectives and see where maybe I'm coming short. But I think what's important is to understand. So your perspective is, just so I understand it, is essentially that hip hop in general is embellished to a certain degree. So what you're saying, your premise that you're saying to me, is that we can't take any of King Von's statements, his tweets, his lyrics, or his interviews, or anybody that knew Von that was in tweets, interviews saying he was the realist. We have to disregard all of that, and we can only go on the government, criminal, federal convictions.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying is we need to frame this as what it is, and the arena we found it in, which was entertainment, rap lyrics on produced beats that's given out to the public with millions of dollars of marketing involved in it. And we need to recognize the structure that it's a part of, which is exaggerate criminal culture for benefit. You may not understand what line do for a man where we come from, but sometimes where we come from, line can get you from shit to sugar. Line can get you from nowhere to stay to in that girl house. Some of these guys come up like that. Me, I pay for everything. I don't lie. I don't have to lie. But I'm telling you that some people live like that in this culture. There's things in this culture that you don't understand because you didn't come up here. So I'm telling you, brother, that it's too many different avenues to benefit from when you exaggerate criminal culture for me to say, yo, he ain't been convicted. I can't let you call him a serial killer. A real nigga, go ahead. Fuck it. They called him a real nigga. Fuck it. Serial killer? Damn, brother.
I do kind of agree with the first part, because at the end of the day, in general, you are right. But the area where we disagree on is just that when King Von was alive, everybody said he was the realist. And I guess I'm now understanding where we really disagree, is that you say that there's this culture of lying for benefit, for financial benefit, to build up this image. And you're essentially saying that Von and the people around him were perpetrating this falsehood that Von was this killer for financial gain. My disagreement is that I believe Von when he said he killed all these people because everyone said he was. So I'm
saying the first thing you said was right about me, which framing of the culture in regards to they benefit from exaggeration, right? That's one. The second part I need. That's true. The second part I need you to understand that I'm saying is that fuck, I just lost my fucking point. What were we talking about?
With keeping it
No,
real.
what did I just say before that? What did you say I said, I mean? You said that they were capping.
People lying.
They was lying. They were capping.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm saying everybody said Von was real. So you're kind of saying that this culture of...
Okay, so the second part was they're saying Von was real in comparison to the rappers. Because the rappers, again, a lot of these rap guys, again, have been placed here. I've been in studio sessions where high priority rap guys need to know how many grams is in an ounce, how many ounces is in a key, how much do a brick cost, what's going on, how much they want right now for some, what is ice, this, that, they don't know, right? And they in that position. You hear about people talk about drugs that don't do drugs. You hear certain things. So I'm saying that he is real in comparison to the arena that they've placed him in, to have anything on his name, to have any kind of, he'll jump out. And I know he was a gangster because look how he jump out on Rondo. He was on go. I'll say them niggas right there, I'm coming. So any kind of that on a nigga is say in this game, he one of them, because these boys ain't gonna do nothing. They let you hang them off the baluster. They let you get them in a room and take their money, rob them for millions. You understand? Listen, there would be no robbing a Loon in the game. I'm going to jail about that. I'm loud about that. You understand? These boys that get robbed for millions, these rap niggas, man. Millions. And go back to the ghetto with a nigga eating off they shit. These boys will lie to get out of these circumstances, brother. And that's one facet. Von in specific, I'm going to say that they saying he was a real nigga in comparison to all this fuck shit that's in the industry. Bro, I'm quoted the realest nigga out. Every nigga in the game love me. Everybody. Because ain't nobody never talk like this. They know they know I got the texture on me. It's clear. Nobody's never talked like this. But guess what? I'm only real. It's realer niggas than me out there in the streets. We talking about niggas that's maintaining millions of dollars in the streets and controlling their neighborhoods. I'm controlling the internet. You feel me? It's a different thing. Even though I was a boss on the street, I ain't there no more. I'm here now. But I'm telling you, bro, in comparison to, I look at Vaughn, I think everybody around Vaughn was saying, nah, he's still a nigga can't play with Vaughn. He'll found you right now playing. He'll crank the fight off now. He one of them. And you took that to mean everything he say was the truth. Or all the murders he wasn't convicted of, he did. Or he's a serial killer. Again, to say he was involved in shit, that's one thing. The serial killer is where you lost me. I said, damn, he lost me. He lost me. The boy got children. The boy got a mama. That's legacy talk. 3 hours. That's legacy talk.
You can still be a serial killer if you got children, if you got a family, if you did good
but
things.
But if you ain't been convicted,
did good things.
I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about, see, you skipped the first part.
You got to read all his tweets, man.
I can't go off tweets, my nigga.
You know what I'm saying? If you read all of his tweets,
I just gave you a whole example of something I tweeted. That was bullshit. I can't go off tweets.
But Von was the realist.
The realist compared to the rappers in the game.
Bro, what are all of Von's friends going to say when they hear you're saying he's
I didn't say he cap. I say he real in regards to the rappers in the game. I know you want to frame it that way, but they know I'm the GOAT.
No, it's cool,
everybody
man.
know
I get
I'm
where you're
the
coming
GOAT.
from. I do get where you're coming from.
Everybody know I'm the GOAT. Everything check out with me. Everybody know I'm the GOAT. I get to talk like this. What I said about Von is, in comparison to the rappers, they going to place him amongst the realists. Right? But as far as you convicting him of being a serial killer without evidence, I know they want me to stand up for that. I know they know Loon the only nigga can talk like that. Get that straight, Loon. I'm the only nigga can do it. Everybody you done talk to, you done smother them. I'm the only nigga can do this. Nobody else can. And I ain't saying, I'm just saying give you another understanding of what the circumstances are. Nobody else could do it.
I get where you're coming from, man. I do respect you. I appreciate that. But I still think he did all that shit.
That's real. I can't take that from you. What you think about 1090 Jake?
Man, I love 1090, man. Shout out to 1090 Jake. I know that at the moment, a lot of people are not feeling him. I think we're actually in a real interesting era of hip hop. And it relates to our last conversation, because I think this is a really good topic. Because hip hop, and I say this at the start of the King Von documentary, hip hop has always been a genre that's always been about realness. Both, is this person real? Are they telling the real version of their story? Or is this embellished? Is this a fake version of the story? And I think something that's really big in hip-hop in the last few years, especially since the 6ix9ine case, is, are people solid? Are people not snitching? Is this guy really solid? Is this guy a snitch? And I think that 1090 Jake...
Hold on, before we move from that, because that was a good point. Let's talk about that a little bit before we get to him. What I think is the circumstances of a lot of these gentlemen change. I believe you can be solid in the streets and a sucker in the industry. I believe that once you get some money, you can say, I vow never to go back to that. Even though I was with whatever when I was out there. But Lord, I ain't never going back. If that mean I'm snitching, and see, that ain't my style. But I understand when some of these boys go to jail, these boys got mansions, 10,000 square feet, 6 or 7 women, Bentley trucks, private jets. These boys want to go home. And they probably ain't really cut like that to begin with. If you check a lot of these dudes' records, they may never been in trouble. So you looking at I'm trying to tell you, behind the curtain, it's a nigga struggling to get out of poverty. What do that take? Nigga call me up, hey Loon, I need a necklace. Hey Loon, I need a watch, bro. I'm trying to do my rap thing. If you a big homie and you still in, you gotta respect that. You see what I'm saying? Because again, everybody fighting to get out. A lot of times, you look in the backdrop, it's somebody else's money back there. That's why I take pride in moving by myself. When I met QCP,
facts, man.
Them niggas say, you by yourself? I'm by myself. You feel me? Because ain't nobody funding this operation. I'm CEO, talent, I'm him. Right? And so I want people to know that, because I need people to know it's possible to do it like that. Because people will think you got to click up. That's what's causing a lot of this RICO, and because a lot of niggas clicking up when they ain't ready for that. You don't got no business doing that, because when it hit the fan, you going to fumble every time. You see what I'm saying? So I think that the circumstances sometimes have changed, right? So again, you could be A lot of these guys may be halfway solid in the street, may done had a bid before they done and shit like that. Maybe got a couple criminal charges, but now I done got 3 million. Now I got this big crib. I got 3 bad bitches. It's light. I'm living, and I'm strung out on drugs. See, that's the other part. You gotta put that in your pipe and smoke it. Niggas is strung on drugs. They can't go 3-4 days without some of that shit. That hurt. That first week in jail is torture. So now they again, I think it's all of that. But what do you say to that? I just wanted to stop you because I think that it's somewhere along the lines these dudes' minds are changed in which they like, oh no, I ain't leaving this lifestyle.
I actually, I agree with everything you've just said, to be honest, and I think it's really interesting because I think this would be a good topic for us to debate. Look, I'm a guy, I'm a white guy, a nerdy guy wearing glasses. I come from a small town in England, so you can't say I'm from out of the streets. You can't say that I am somebody that has to abide by the street code or no snitching. Look, I'll be honest, I've never snitched. I saw a guy getting beaten up outside my apartment. I called the police once. I didn't give a statement. But I would snitch if I got jumped. If I got jumped at an event, I'm talking to the feds first thing. Sure. It's always been something interesting for me. Obviously, I'm a big fan of hip hop. It's part of the hip hop culture, and I guess the street culture. It's in a lot of lyrics. This never snitch mentality, and I think that it makes sense. I think a lot of the whole never working with the police, never trust the police, obviously comes from the fact that police brutality is a huge problem, and racism in the police force is just true. I mean, in the UK, we have the Metropolitan Police in London, and they are racist as hell. There's really messed up laws in the UK about stop and search, and black people and other minorities getting heavily targeted over white people in the UK. So I understand why certain groups of people don't trust the police more than others, and that's I can't. I'm a white guy. I have a different experience of the police than a black guy. I've been pulled over by the police. I've been shouted at by the police. I've argued with the police. I've never been arrested, but I understand that my experience being pulled over is probably going to be different to King Von's experience being pulled over, right? But at the same time, what you just said, I completely agreed with, where you've got these guys that have broken out of that cycle. Someone like Young Thug or whoever, they might be worth a few $1 million. They've created a successful life for themselves. Why should they throw it all away if they get sucked into a RICO that they had nothing to do with, to essentially, stay solid and throw their life away, their family's life away, the opportunity that their family's life, that their family had by being solid. So when you see someone like Gunna, people are saying he's a snitch, people are getting exposed for being a snitch. But to me, I just think that's an individual that got into a situation and they had to make a decision based on the facts that they were in. Now, that's not to say it's not dishonorable if you're doing a crime with somebody to snitch on them, that you're involved, you're all jumping in that car, agreeing to do a crime together, and you flip on everyone to save your ass. That's a dishonorable thing to do. But, I've always found it's an interesting debate when it comes to the whole hip hop, never snitching. And then in recent years, there's sort of almost been like a situation where, there's been a lot of debate around different artists, whether it's Gunna, 6ix9ine, your Troy Avs, Boston Richie, people sort of debating, did these guys snitch? Is it wrong? Is it right what they did? And, you got guys like 6ix9ine and Troy Ave now that are kind of coming out saying, look, I cooperated because I did wrong, or I was done wrong. And, I'm saying I'm not going to go sit down for 15 years over someone that was trying to take my life. So I think it's a really interesting debate. And I would actually love to know your opinion on whether, do you think that the hip-hop community in general needs to maybe move forward from this whole idea that no matter what, you got to follow the street code, even if you haven't been in the streets for 10 years and you're a millionaire and you're a shining example to your community? What are the rules when you're not in the streets anymore? I'd like to know your opinion, and I feel like I'd probably agree with you on most of what you're saying.
My thought is, number one, I believe that there's a couple different issues. One being, the reason why we don't really believe in dealing with the police, messing with the police, whatever, is because they misrepresent the circumstances, right? It's like a lot of what they frame in court ain't the circumstances that's actually happened on the streets. Again, and this ain't even culture, because a lot of times they in the inside, so they know exactly what they're misrepresenting, and we dealt with that on all facets. I even saw this football guy, I think, played for Alabama, get pulled over. And the police was asking him, I smell weed in the car, man. Let me know what's going on. I smell weed. I'll work with you if you tell me. And he look over at his homeboy, And he just say, "Hey man, give me the weed." And his homeboy like, "Man, I ain't doing that shit. I don't know what you talking about." So he reach over and grab the weed, right? Hand it to the police, trusting the police. Police tell him, "Step out the car, rest it." He, damn, I just gave you. I thought you was. Now he find a gun, find some more weed. It's like we know that they ain't gonna do right. That's number one. Number two, accountability is the highest form of adulthood, you know. And so when you're in a situation where you need to be responsible, accountable for what you have been involved with, that's when it gets slippery, right? Even if you sign up for something that I might not be involved, but the situation messy. And if the situation messy, I'm involved, you know. And you can be involved in things like, even with a RICO, that shit gets so slippery, you know. I don't really know how to feel about it. You know, I don't know how to feel about that. In regards to snitching, I think the culture has to move forward from so much of the no snitching concept, because I have children. My children don't abide by that. I was the last generation that grew up in that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? My children can call the cops if they need to. They can communicate with the police. I let them know this. They cannot escape responsibility, accountability. Again, it's a difference. And I think the snitching thing, a lot of times, it makes you escape accountability. You know, it puts you in a situation where I might have been involved in something that you're going to let me out of if I get him involved in something. And for me, that accountability concept always kicks into my brain, you know. But the culture as a whole, we got to grow up on a lot of things, or we going to continue to be monetized from the outside. You know, they monetize every crime that's big in our culture. Right? You know, you know that it's a market out there for, like, people want to hear about. You're one of them. I'm one of them. Like, I want to hear about, damn, what they be talking about. That's why I was going to partner with you on some shit to where there's real culture insight into what's happening. You see what I'm saying? The way it looks different a little bit and tweaks a little bit to where we might can go somewhere, you know what I mean, and split this and bust it down. But, you know, as far as understanding our culture, bro, it's so many layers of it. You got to understand, man, people trying to escape this shit. Like, you'll see a rap nigga try to go positive like Dirk right now. He testing the water, trying to see if he drop a whole album of positive shit, it might do good, but it's gonna turn his people off. So it's a weird way you gotta handle the transition of, you know, going from all the way street to over here where I'm at. I'm just lucky enough to be able to be a street nigga talking positive. Or trying to, at least. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm the prototype of what it's going to look like in the future. You know, as far as like, yo, it's going to be a dude that look all like this, but he really on some business shit. He really on some positive, helping the culture, right? I'm trying to break that mold, bro, because from the outside, I know it's no way to understand it. That's why I had to get you on. And then somebody like 1090 Jake. Let's talk about Jake. Somebody like 1090 Jake. And I haven't read any paperwork, but he's taking incident reports and bits and pieces of shit and narrating it. This is what I mean. Like, these dudes is, what do you...
Well, the interesting thing about 1090 Jake is, you know, 1090 Jake is a blood. He's been to jail. You know, he's been in the, you know, state of Florida corrections system. I'm the opposite, right? I'm from a small town in the UK. I've never been in trouble
Jake
with the
ain't
law,
did a
and
motherfucking
I'm just a fan
thing.
of the music.
Going to jail don't mean shit. Don't let these niggas trick you with these tattoos. Hey, listen, brother. I would say I don't know if 1090 Jake a blood. Somebody got to tell me home a blood. I ain't.
Well, listen, I haven't seen his blood membership card, but I believe him when he says he's a blood.
The Bloods would have straightened him in nigga business.
But this is the thing. It's like, as you said earlier, you know, when it comes to like realness, when we were talking about King Von, there's a spectrum. And I think, you know, if you want to go on the realness, streetless scale, you got me, you got kind of like me, you got 1090, and then maybe you got Von way up there. But, I think you know, I respect 1090. I respect what he's done. I think he's got more perspective
What
than
is
me.
his background? Yeah.
1090 Jake. I mean, I don't know that much about his background.
You
but
take
like,
him to be a street guy, though.
You know, he spent time in prison. Well, no, I take him to be more street than me, and he spent time in jail.
It's easy
and
to be
what I
more
understand,
street than you, though. You
he's
from
a
the
blood.
UK. That ain't saying much. And it's
That's
gangsters
facts.
in the UK. Let's be
That's
clear.
facts.
You know, it's gangsters in the UK
for
for
real.
sure. But I'm saying I don't see him being like, you know. And then my thing is, if you is a blood, why you ain't talking blood business? I know you got some little business around your neighborhood. I asked you the same question. Why you ain't reporting on the UK beefs and shit? Why you ain't reporting on the UK?
This is the funny thing. Well, I mean, I know that Jake, doesn't report on certain stuff where he lives. I think that's just sensible. You know, I did report on a lot of stuff in the UK when I was living in some of these areas, and it kind of. It felt maybe a little bit more risky if you're reporting on stuff that's going on, on your doorstep. But I do have quite a few UK stories, and I am planning on doing a few more in the future. When it comes to like,
so you
street
think
drill,
it's cool to
politics
hide out?
and history
You think
in the
it's
UK.
cool to report on shit and hide out?
Well, I think that everybody who becomes famous on the internet has to hide out. I assume you don't post your location and where you're going to be.
But I
at all
report
times
on
and
whatever
stuff like
I
that,
want to
right?
report
So-
on. If I call myself reporting on snitching, if that nigga next cross the yard over there, if he snitch and he big blood in the town, I got a video on blood. I got one coming on blood. I'm cut like that. That's how I know he ain't cut like that.
But to a certain degree, though, you got to say that's just common sense. If it's me, for example, if I found out that there was a murder, like literally, I don't know though. It's tough though, because I mean, I did do a video on the murders and the drill conflicts going on in my
reporting
area.
the culture, bro, and you reporting the culture, it shouldn't be no. All right, I ain't gonna do it around here because I'm thinking that's a little bit risky. That's like that. I know, I get it.
That's just common sense, because hella rappers go and film music videos on their ops block, and that's a very dangerous thing to do. And a lot of people would be sensible enough to not do that, right? I feel like that's just
not your
reasonable
ops, though.
Jake wouldn't
use the same excuse you using
to
us. No, I'm just reporting the news. We ain't ops. Oh, so you saying we ops? I ain't looking at this shit like we ops. When you bump down on some of these good guys, all they say is, "Now we just reporting. It ain't like that." So now all of a sudden it's ops. Nah, it ain't ops.
Well, no, I'm not saying they're ops. Let me rephrase that, because I think I put that across wrong. But what I'm saying is that, like, I think it's it's just kind of common sense, in the sense that, like, for example, after I did the King of On video, I'm not going to lie, I had a lot of people saying they were going to kill me. I was getting a lot of death threats. People from Chicago, people from other places saying, "We're going to pop you. We're trying to find where you're at." Blah blah blah. And let's be real, I actually do want to go to Chicago and film some interviews and actually speak to some real people. But I knew I can't be doing that this month when everyone's saying they're going to kill me. I got to wait for this to die down. I got to get my safety in place to go and do that. So that's just kind of common sense.
To the 1090J reporting on people in his backyard, I don't get the correlation with that. You talking about coming 1,000 miles reporting on a culture you don't have nothing to do with, a black dude that's dead, right? A murder. He doing snitching. Murder, snitching, totally different, right? It's too many differences here. I'm telling you that if I call myself reporting on snitch culture, I got a snitch video coming on the guys, even if they over here.
But I don't, as far as I know, all I know is that, Jake tends to, put out the videos that he wants to put out. He doesn't seem to be scared of reporting on certain things. But from what I understand, he just doesn't report on the politics in the area he lives, because I think that's just common sense. I think I've done that in the past.
Would you rather fuck with a nigga worth $500 million, or would you rather fuck with these little broke ass niggas in your backyard?
When you say fuck with, you mean in a positive or negative way? That's an interesting question, because, like, if you put it this way, right, the guy with $1 billion, he's got the resources to come and fuck with you back, whereas the guys that don't have nothing, they got nothing to lose, so they can throw it all away and crash out on you.
Same difference, though. But it's like, I'm telling you, power is in, strength is in, it's a lot of strength involved with certain things. For me, though, I think Jake is ruining people's lives, man, without looking into the proper things, man. I don't appreciate what he's doing in our culture. Your thing with the King Von was a little slippery for the most part. I love your content. With him just to be a snitch page, like, it's very weird. That's a very weird thing.
In defense of Jake, I would say that I think right now there is this big wave in hip hop of kind of snitching and exposing snitches. Jake's content wasn't always about snitching. You know, I've been a follower of his content for years, and, you know, it wasn't even that long ago that really he would just cover a different case every day, and there'd be cases all over the country, and he would report on them really well, really detailed. I think right now he is, you know, and I don't mean disrespect by this, but I think he's riding a wave that's going on in the wider hip-hop space where there is this fascination, and to use the word used earlier, obsession with snitching. And I think that that's a wider obsession in hip-hop where we've had a big conversation, guys like 6ix9ine, guys like Gunna, obviously the Boston Richie thing, Jake was associated with that, but before that there was just all this stuff going on about
Do you think he calls it
Terrence
fair?
Gangster Williams.
Yeah.
Jake? I personally
So what
think
was
he
the
does,
difference between the
personally.
Rollo and Boston Richie?
I'll admit, I actually didn't get enough time. I've not caught up on all the Rollo stuff because I'm working on a Youngboy project, so I haven't caught up with all the latest. But from what I understand, I don't want to say because I didn't watch the Rollo stuff. I'm not actually plugged into the Rollo
according
thing.
to them, because I looked into it myself, but according to them, the gist of it is both guys may have talked to the police. Nobody was arrested. One guy in his eyes was a rat. The other guy wasn't. This is what I think I'm drawing from what's happening.
Well, I haven't
Right.
sune all
What
the
young
details of the
boy
Rollo
thing you
so
working on?
I can't
What
suggest
you
that.
working on over there?
Yeah, I'm working on. Okay, I'll tell you what I got going on. Maybe you'll want to give me your opinion. Maybe you won't. But I'm doing I got a video coming. I want to do kind of the whole Youngboy life story. And the interesting thing is, Youngboy has a bunch of songs where he says he's got 7 bodies. A lot of people don't seem to have realized on Youngboy's new album he just dropped, Richest Op. On the last song of the album, he actually says he has 12 bodies, which same as the King Von situation. I just want to look into this situation and say, is that true? I'm looking into it. I'm listening to Youngboy's old songs. I'm looking at his old tweets. I'm just trying to work out, is this actually true? And I'm still working on the story, but right now where I'm at, you know, it seems like there's a big difference between the Youngboy and the Von stories, but both artists are two people who are kind of, you know, they're associated with a lot of violence. They've both put out a lot of public statements saying that they're involved in the violence, but for Youngboy, I'm finding it a lot harder to find anything concrete connecting him to the situations where he's saying he's got all these bodies. But, you know, there's not much that I found to like associate that. Contrast that with Von. You know, I understand that we disagree about, you know, using tweets and stuff like that, but, you know, Von, there were tons and tons and tons of tweets where Von's saying stuff that kind of correlates to other things he said, whereas Youngboy, I'm currently researching it and I'm seeing like less.
Youngboy learned from somebody like, you know, Von, or just the internet. He kind of grew up a little later than Von with it. Who was the oldest?
Yeah, Youngboy's
so
younger
he kind of grew up. He kind of grew up with it just a little more. He might understand it a little more. And again, me being inside of the culture, I take Youngboy to be smart enough to know that's why he on all these different little pages, right? So if I ever have to go to court for something tweeted or Instagram, you can't really. There's proof out there that I'm on 1,000 different pages. You don't never know what page I'm on, right? And this is because they'll use this bullshit Instagram and tweets like you. You got these guys are now hiding from people like you, right? And tweeting on, go over here, Insta, Finsta. Like, it's shit happening because people are misrepresenting things that people are tweeting when they're in their emotions, you know? So he may be in a situation to know that the laws are against him from, you know, tweeting certain things from his original account or maybe saying certain things from that account. So I stay over here or over there or on this account. So if ever I'm brought to court, he may not be this smart. This may be me putting together something that ain't there. But, you know, if you have...
Well, I was just going to say something interesting is like, you know, I'm not finished with the story. I'm still doing my research. But like, for example, there's a lot of Youngboy lyrics where he sort of seems to suggest like, I was trying to shoot at this op and I missed him and I killed his girl. There's a few of these lyrics, right? And then there's a case in 2017 where a girl got hit in the crossfire in the passenger seat in this incident, right? And a lot of people online, they're saying this was Youngboy. Youngboy killed this girl. But I've looked into it deeper, And there's a whole other person. There's two people that got arrested for that crime. There's a guy completely unrelated to Youngboy that got convicted of the crime, but he's in lyrics saying stuff that kind of makes people think he did it, but it's proven it's completely unrelated. So what it's making me almost think is like what you were saying earlier about a lot of rappers, they're incentivized and make money off of trying to portray this image and make people think they were involved in the crimes.
It ain't even necessarily...
But I'm almost seeing that. I'm almost seeing like Youngboy and Von. It's sort of they go in a different direction. Where it's like Youngboy's got all these lyrics, but then I'm looking into it and it's like he didn't do that shit. You know what I mean?
And it ain't for you to find if he did do it. This is what's important for you to know. If you can't be the voice of whether he did or didn't. I find it interesting that you've parked in that place, right? To say that, hey, I'm gonna be responsible for saying if they did or didn't, when I'm telling you that there's a whole underworld of shit that you have no access to. There could be murders and drug dealing and fucking going on. You will never know about families and babies being had that you will never have access to because you ain't a part of the underworld. You see what I'm saying? So what do you do when all the information you got from 2,000 miles away is a nigga tweets?
Well, this is the interesting... I do agree with you. I think here's the difference is that this isn't just some random guy in Baton Rouge on Twitter saying he's killed people. This is NBA Youngboy. The guy has got like 5 #1 Billboard charting albums. You know, I'd have never heard of Youngboy unless this guy was being promoted to me by a major record label, Atlantic Records, now Motown Records. You know, he's on the Billboard charts talking about he's got #1 charting Billboard albums, and on the projects he's saying I got 7 bodies. So I don't think it's wrong for me, a fan who is listening to a song that is quite literally #1 on Billboard. It's the #1 album that's being pushed to people all over the world. I just think that I understand what you're saying. I'm not from the culture. I throw my hands up and I admit that. I don't have the lived experience of.
So do you know what to look at to even solve a murder?
I'm a nerdy white guy.
Do you know what to look at to find the hints of what made a murder take place? Do you know the language we may say? Do you know I might say, you know, it's layers to it. Like you might be looking right over a tweet that speak directly to it. You see.
Facts. No, but that's what I'm trying to do. But I think the reason why I understand what you're saying as far as like, why am I the guy that's supposed to be the voice of this? But like, really, I am just the voice of the fans. I'm the voice of the 58,000 people that bought Youngboy's album in its first week when he gets his first week sales numbers. And I just happen to be the guy that listened to the lyrics and just said, I'm going to Google it until I find out whether this is cap or true. And it's not a case, I'm not trying to convict him. I'm not trying to paint him in a negative light that isn't real. I'm genuinely just trying to be the perspective of, I don't think I could send him to prison. I don't think it's possible. Because I'm not a federal agent. I have no federal pull. Okay. If somebody in the FBI is currently investigating NBA Youngboy and they find evidence... What
about if they find evidence that you
that's why he'll be convicted. Bruh, do you really think
I do.
That, like, bear in mind, okay, let's put it this way. No way,
I got a dude right now. I got a homeboy right now facing life in the feds that went to court on the 17th.
Because of me.
They bring Instagram shit in there. YouTube shit in there on him. So I do know that if you put that together, you make that real easy for them.
But that's bear in mind, this is the thing. I think a lot of people get this wrong and they act like, oh, the feds are using Trap Law Ross videos as evidence. They're not. The feds are using the same tweets I was looking at. If somebody confesses to a crime in a tweet and I notice it and the FBI notice it, the FBI are going to use it to convict him. I'm just some guy talking. And he shouldn't have made the tweet.
Do you know that they are fiending for understanding of the culture as well? You know that they pay people to try to put that stuff together that you will put together and drop it, and they say, exactly. Damn, there you go. He put it right together. Check that out.
I'm doing it for free. They probably got a guy on payroll. You can't tell me that the Baton Rouge Police Department that is investigating Youngboy, he's got multiple open cases. You can't tell me that there isn't somebody that sits there and looks at his lyrics and tries to turn this as evidence of the crime.
I'm saying they don't have access to...
I've only just gone around to listening to it today. They don't have access to
people like Loon, people like that you have, like Adam 22, that can give you a little more insight. They literally are like, damn, what the fuck is happening? Right? They got their snitches and shit.
Hell no, they got access to his phone. They can tap his phone. They can get into his Instagram. They can get the affidavit.
But they haven't did that.
Read all his DMs. I wish I could read his DMs. If I could read Youngboy's DMs, it'd be over.
Though, right?
This is the thing, though. it takes the feds a long time to build a case. For example, let's go back to King Von with the situation where you got these 5 people that are currently facing trial for the murder of FBG Duck. Rest in peace, FBG Duck. You know, no disrespect to him, but these guys were tweeting and Instagram messaging each other, and it's now in the papers that, you know, these guys were sending messages to each other saying, I forget the exact name of the person, but, you know, there was a person affiliated with Crew THF that had given the location of Duck to the guys from O Block, according to the feds. And they're getting all of that from just looking at their phones, looking at their DMs, which I have no access to. So the feds are working on a level that's way beyond what I'm working on. I'm working on a level of an obsessed fan. And I'll admit, I'll throw my hands up. I'm obsessed with Youngboy too. I'm listening to every Youngboy song the guy's ever made and reading the lyrics and thinking really hard, like, what's he actually saying?
That is strange,
I'm a weirdo,
bro.
I can't help it. But I know for a fact there is some guy whose job it is on the Baton Rouge Police Department doing the same shit.
No, they won't even do as
extensive
as you gonna do. This is the point I'm making. They're lazy fucks. These people are I will take that as a compliment, because I try and work. I try and work hard, but I think the feds are looking way deeper. Shit. I just want you to know that you're representing shit in the wrong way. But as far as making a documentary style piece of content, you're probably one of the best that I've been able to see at it, right? And I like the accent. I like all of it. I just think it's dope, you know. I would wish that you would stay. First of all, let me say this: all these guys are innocent. We wish high vibration, or Loon wish high vibration on these guys. No jail time, abundance of money. We want everybody to stay free and try to get save their family. I know what it's like to do so. That's number one. Have you been looking at the Joe Budden podcast? Yeah.
What, recently? I've been keeping track of it a little bit, but like, man, I don't. It was dope. Yeah, thank you, man. Well, you know, obviously, I've always been a fan of Joe Budden. I mean, I've been a fan of Budden since I was a kid, listening to his, you know, his self-titled album back in the day. You know, I've always been a fan of Budden. I've been a fan of what he achieved on the podcast. And to be honest, like, just in general, I think Joe Budden is a really... I've got to give him his flowers, because Joe Budden is one of the very few people in this industry who had success as a rapper. And then, you know, his career went the way it did, and he didn't get the mainstream support that he thought he deserved. You know, where his beef with Jay-Z, that's another part of it. But setting that aside, he is somebody that I really admire, that he took his energy and his talent into another industry, into podcasting, and he became a GOAT, top tier. You know, a lot of people put him as the #1 hip-hop podcaster in the game. And he has basically become the king of this new space. He's not the king. But he's never compromised on who he is. Well, no, but some people see him as the king. He wouldn't be my #1, but he'd be top 10, top 5. Hey, Complex, you know, they're trying to get him to sign some sort of deal. I feel like they're buttering him up, maybe. But setting that aside, dope, though. You know, I respect what he's done, and I also think he's great.
I know he don't think I hate him. I think he's dope. Did you think he stole from Rory and Maul? They've told me he stole from him.
I think they were naive. I think they knew what they were dealing with when they went into that situation with Joe. And I like those guys, and I respect what they've achieved, but I think they were naive. And you know, the show is called the Joe Budden Podcast. It's Joe Budden's podcast. And I think for them to kind of think that they could sort of like pull the strings, or like, you know, press the buttons on the show for a better, lack of a better phrase, I just think that was naive. And I think that they're now building their own platform, and I think they're realizing, like, Joe is a legend in the game. It was the Joe Budden podcast. The cultural cachet of that show was with Joe, and they were rookies getting a good opportunity to be on the show. I don't think they had the right to kind of try and rock the boat, and kind of you know, demand so much from Joe when it's Joe's show. And I think they saw, as the show was coming up, that it was Joe's show, and now they're doing their own thing, and they're realizing they got to build their cultural cachet up from ground zero. And Joe is Joe. You know, Joe is a legend of the game in multiple ways. And so I felt like with that situation, I felt like maybe they were naive. I also feel like them sort of getting really deep in the beef with DJ Academics. Again, I think they underestimated Academics. Ak is another legend of this game.
What is he a legend at?
One of the
First of all, let me deal with, we can deal with that in a second. Don't forget that. Yeah,
I know he's controversial, but let's go back.
Even you believe Rory and Maul to feel like that, even if they had a contract that states they were eligible to get a certain percentage, that he just reneged on the contract. This is what they're saying happened. So say they say, yo, we'll both take 15%. So that's 30% you got to kick out whenever we get something. And then when it's time to kick the 30 out, he finds a way not to kick that out and sneak them on salary. You don't find that to be fake?
I'm not going to deny that. I think that, listen, Joe Budden is Joe Budden, right? Joe Budden's known to be a bit of a prickly guy to deal with. And so I felt like they knew what they were getting into with Joe Budden. They saw Marissa get fired.
So you just say you see he was a slime ball. You probably, or you see he cutthroat. He a shrewd businessman. So you probably need to buckle up.
I think kind of yes, and also I think it's Joe's show, and I think that they played themselves thinking that they were going to kind of go on strike and hold Joe's show for ransom against him. And I think now that time has passed, I think Joe's show has flourished without them, and I think it's proven that I think Joe's new co-hosts are good, but I also think that the show works with Joe. The show works. The Joe Budden podcast works because of Joe Budden, and I think Joe Budden could have damn near anyone on that couch with him, and it'd be a good show. I think his new hosts are good.
It's just
I think
my
they are
guy.
elevating the show, but it's
Joe's
Joe's show.
Who is
Joe's
this white boy saying that I ain't worth nothing on the couch over here?
No, shout out to Ish, man. I feel like those that's the thing. I feel like those guys do add a lot of value, and I think when it first switched and Rory and Mal kind of got replaced, it was Ish and Ice. And it was kind of like, oh, who are these guys? It's different. But I think it takes time for people to get into their stride and for the audience to grow to love these new people. I think that's what Adam 22 is going through now. He's building this new team, and people are kind of shitting on Adam and saying, oh, No Jumper ain't what it used to be. The numbers are down. But, give it some time. And, like I say, no shade on the people that left. But, I think people will grow to love these new characters.
It's the hardest thing to do is build the fan base. Once you do that, the hard part's out the way. Now it's basically figuring out what your chicken sandwich is. What is your selling item? What's your selling point? What gets the person to click it? What gets someone to subscribe? What gets them to share? What gets them to talk about it on socials? You start to get scientific with this shit. You got to get into the lab and figure out what make the wheels move, You think Rory and Mal underestimated academics how?
Well, there was that the thing that really stood out to me was that situation where, essentially Rory allegedly went to Academics' crib and put like a menacing letter through his mailbox and shit. And I think that they were really trying to stoke this beef with Academics, thinking that they were sort of like on this whole, we're going to go up and fight against Academics because we feel disrespected by him, sort of losing sight of the fact that, firstly, Academics is basically the big dog in this hip hop media space. Whether you like him or hate him, he is the biggest. No. He's the biggest going.
No,
he's the biggest out. Who's bigger than Ak in hip hop news?
That's different. See, that's different. Okay, hip hop news. Okay,
just in that
great.
Space.
He can have hip hop. Listen, what the fuck is hip hop news? Who's paying for that? What the fuck is that?
I agree, but like,
this
for example,
is what academics these dudes are good at.
Number one,
they're good at creating these little. What the fuck is that? What? How good is that? But he doesn't get paid from that. He gets paid from promotion because his platform on social media. He gets paid from Spotify because his podcast. And now he gets his little subs and shit from live streaming. What the fuck is hip hop? I'm the best at hip hop news. What the fuck is that?
Okay, let me give you my argument, because I get where you're coming from, but I feel like my perspective on it, maybe it might open your mind to how I see it. But I think with Academics, my biggest criticism, and I like Academics, my biggest criticism of Academics is often I think what he puts out is very unpolished and rushed. His streams, they don't look like the really slick, nice looking streams. They're basic, but I think the reason why that works for Ak is because his whole thing is he is the finger on the pulse. He's before I've even found out the info, he's on there reacting to it. I find out about shit from him reacting before I've seen it on an actual on Hip Hop DX or some shit. So I think his benefit is that he is always on the ball. He's always ready to react. He's sat around his house waiting to be the first person to deliver you that news. And whether you like him or hate him, he's always that guy. He's always the first person going, here's an update on the Tory and Meg situation. Here's an update on the NBA Youngboy thing. And I think even though he's annoying,
in the grand scheme of the market of the business, see, I'm a businessman. See, we are businessmen. This is where they trick the YouTube guys at. They trick the YouTube guys into fighting over these bullshit titles. while we getting the money running the real business, going to get checks for podcasts, checks for documentary, checks for shit. That's the real game. I'm learning this from Charlemagne. You don't let them trick you into this mudslinging YouTube shit and you don't make nothing. You don't own nothing. Then your channel gets strike. Back at ground zero. You don't play that game. Yeah. Academics and them are good with creating these fake little places, right? Like you said, unpolished content from such a prominent person in hip hop is a mistake. There's no way around that, bro. When you have a, it's no reason why that man shouldn't have a setup like some big boy. If he gonna live stream, like Alex Jones type shit, like some big boy setup, like where it looked good. He in like a little room with a little box on the. It's like, what the fuck is this?
But I think that's
it
why
works because of the content.
I don't think he gives a shit about that.
Not because it looks pleasing to me.
And but that's the thing. I think for academics, literally, I don't know for sure, but I think academics probably sits there and it's like, you know, what should I do? I could spend 10 days improving my studio and make it
miss 10 days,
Alex Jones level setup, or I could just sit here and just post what's going on right now. Like, what's the new Youngboy lyric?
I think
I'm gonna hop on stream and talk for an hour about that.
And I think that's because that's how he does nothing else to do. I think he's actually with that money. He's over there bored, nothing to do, don't got a life. Fuck it, I'm live again, right? 7-8 hours.
But he likes it. He loves being live. So for him, this is the perfect situation. And bear in mind, for me, right, my content's very different from academics. I like to take my time. I like to go offline for a month and listen to all the Youngboy music. Like, if you know me, right, my life right now, I'm doing this Youngboy story. Anytime I hop in the car, it's a new Youngboy album. Anytime I go somewhere, headphones in, I'm listening to a Youngboy interview. I'm at my computer where I'm sat now. I'm looking into, you know, Youngboy interview, Youngboy details. I'm reading an interview on Billboard with Youngboy. So it's like, you know, you might not hear from me on my channel for 2-3 months, but then at the end of it, I'll create something that's really polished, really nice. And I'd hope that people still remember me and come back to watch. It's the opposite of academics, where he's jumping online every day. Look at me. Look at what the info that I've got.
Do you honestly think that works?
My approach works for me.
Do you think he's maximizing
well, that's the thing. It has worked. He's
brand?
Successful.
I think he's getting very little out of his brand when he can get much more. I think if academics done it right and really cared about the content, he just cares about being first, cares about talking about it first, cares about, you know, delivering it out to the world. And I spoke about that, and it's like he doesn't to me, because when you look at his podcast, I damn near can fall asleep. I'm talking about.
I like, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? I think that approach works for him, and I think that approach is what he likes. I think he likes being on stream. He likes hopping on stream, you know, cracking open the bottle of Henny and going crazy and just going hard. Whereas for me, I like to take my time. I like to look into things, think about things differently, try and find new angles on different stories. And, you know, it's just a difference in approach. But here's the thing I think that is important. I think because Ack did his approach first, he is the number one at his style of content. I think, and he said this before, I think when people come along and they try and copy his style, it doesn't work, because there can only be one person at the top being first with all of the information. And I don't think anyone can fuck with academics in his style of content. But like, I don't think as time goes on, I'm hoping people can't fuck with me in my style of content. Ain't no one doing a 3-hour video about nobody, right? So it's like, we're all trying to find the thing about us that makes us special. And obviously, you know, there's elements of your personality in your podcast that make you a one of a kind that other people aren't going to be able to imitate that too, right? So I think everyone's got their things. I think a lot of the things that make academics great also
I don't find him
people.
to be a
so
good interviewer.
He pisses people off.
I find him to have some good talking points here and there, but I find him just not to be interesting enough for me. Like, talk to me about something. What you saying over there? Like, what's going on? Like, bring it out. Let me hear something. Sometimes it's like it's just blah, 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 you know? And sometimes I give him credit because he talks so much. So again, it's easy to fall victim to, I'm just rambling here and there now because I talk so much.
But that's the thing. I think it depends, right? Because it's not for everyone. And I like Academics' content because for me, it's like, for example, at the moment, I'm doing this Youngboy story, and Academics has got hella stream clips where he's going off for an hour ranting about Youngboy. And it's kind of like, for me, it's almost like if I don't want to hear another Youngboy album, I just want to hear, you know, Academics talk on all different angles about his beef with Youngboy. And maybe I'll find a few interesting things he says in that conversation that I'm like, oh, damn, that made me think differently about Youngboy and Dirk's beef and maybe the motivations behind it. Like, for me, that's very valuable to just tune into Ack ranting about Youngboy for an hour, and maybe I'll come away with 2 or 3 things. I'll be like, oh, I didn't think of that. Maybe that's why Youngboy's beefing him. Maybe it's promo. Maybe Dirk finessed him. Maybe he didn't. And it's kind of like, you almost like let all that content wash over you in the form of like a 1-hour Hennessy-fueled rant where Ack disses and he plays a song and he disses Rory. I mean, when the whole Joe Budden beef was going on, look, I'll be honest, a lot of people said I was biased and I was an Academic stan, but I watched so many streams where Academics was jumping on live talking about, ooh, I smoke Rory, and that shit was hilarious. Like, I you know what I mean? And that's why I felt like Rory and Mal were naive, because I don't think they thought. I was like, when they were dissing Academics, I was like, I know
but
Academics
in
is
a
going to go on stream
conversation, Rory versus
roast them for
Academics.
hours.
Who you got? Because Rory, you know, he ain't just a slouch now.
Black.
Like, far as information, and he know
I do agree. I do agree. I think me and Rory would probably have a really good debate, because I think with Academics, sometimes with Academics, especially if he's debating with someone he doesn't like, he's the kind of person that's just going to yell and just say the same things over and over again and just beat you into submission. Whereas I think someone like Rory is probably going to be like, you know, giving more considered points, letting somebody else get their shit off, taking things into account, which is my thing. Like, I feel like we've had a really good conversation, because like I'm trying to also listen to your perspective and think, you know, maybe I'm wrong maybe I see a few things wrong, like maybe I can improve the way I see things. Whereas I think I love Ack, but I think Ack's not trying to hear what anyone else has to say.
So what do you think make Ack a legend though? Legend in what?
I think he's a legend of reporting. I think this is the thing, right? So I think going back to what you were saying a minute ago, for example, the complex top 30 media personalities or whatever, right? I think for me, I would probably say number 1 media personality in hip hop, full stop, probably Charlemagne.
100%. Yeah. That's on every. That's what I'm saying. When they had to listen, he wasn't number 1, and they called it a power ranking. I knew it was propaganda.
Crazy. Yeah, that was Charlemagne has to be number 1. I think even Ack would probably agree. You know, I've heard Ack in many interviews say he was inspired by Charlemagne. And the reason I think Charlemagne is number 1 is because I think Charlemagne can do it all. He's an author. He writes books on very positive topics. You know, he's got that Black Privilege book, and he's actually doing good, trying to spread ideas in a way that is, you know, hey, maybe one day I could write a book. I think it takes a lot of intelligence, a lot of brain power to write an actual book. He can also interview people. He's got top shelf interviews with the best rappers you could name for decades, so he can nail that. And also, you know, he's a good debater, he's a good content creator, he's made shows, he's hosted shows. So Charlemagne's all round
Swiss
goat.
Army knife. He's hard, man.
Facts. And he's been around, you know, he's been doing it for a long time, and he's stayed on top. You know, that's undeniable. I think the reason I think Ack is the best in his space, I think it's like,
what space?
It's almost like,
that's just what I'm saying.
I think it's just that
shit is not lucrative. Reporting. That's not a space. That's when you bored, do that. Like, if you pay attention, Twitch realized that he was dumb enough that he was gonna do this anyway. This isn't a business for this guy. This guy just has nothing to do. Stop paying him.
But hey, listen, like we're here talking about him, so he's doing something
no,
right.
No,
like,
I'm not saying he's not relevant, right? Relevancy, I'm giving him that, right? A lot of the homeboys, they know Ack is relevant. He has a big platform, not taking that from him. I'm saying that it's not a real thing. This legendary, this top of the space of what space?
Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial, and I know a lot of people aren't gonna feel this. You might not be feeling this either. I think the War in Chirac series says a lot more positive stuff about Ack than people give him credit for. I know a lot of people say the War in Chirac, he's belittling these situations that were really deadly in Chicago, and he was making light of that stuff. if people want to say that, fair enough. But what I think a lot of people forget is that, like, now Chirac and Chicago drill music has become the biggest thing in hip-hop. Academics had his finger on that pulse back in 2013, 2014, when ain't nobody heard about or was interested in Chicago hip-hop. And whether or not you believe that he approached those topics with the sensitivity that they deserved, that's another debate. But you can't deny that Academics was on reporting Chicago drill. He had his finger on a pulse, and he's, for damn near, that was like 10 years ago the war in Chirac started. He has maintained that relevancy for 10 years. People love him, they hate him. But even now, we're going to go on Act's page, and we're going to see the Youngboy and the Lil Durk beef updates before anyone else has got them. And let's be real, that is the number one story going on right now that anyone wants to hear.
That's not a contribute to Academics. That's a contribute to Durk and Youngboy. You see, but like you're there, maybe it's a mix, but there's a lot of people there because, he's finna say, like, he's on the Youngboy thing. That's why the podcast has an exclusive deal with Spotify, and it barely even charts. It be like number 9 and 10. I know that's disappointing for Spotify. We pay you millions of dollars, and we can't even keep you number 1 for people whose podcasts available everywhere. He's consistently under $1 million worth of game, consistently under Joe Budden, consistently under Adam. Like, I ain't gonna say Adam, he's over Adam, but he's consistently under some of the biggest podcasts. And it's like, all right, so when he's able to talk about some of these hot button topics, a lot of the driver of the audience is there because it is a hot button topic. It ain't because of his perspective or what he's saying. That's my opinion.
Here's the argument against that. Here's my argument against that. And I agree with some of what you said, but I think with Academics, when his podcast first came out and he had that big debut where he had what did he have? He had Whack 100 and 6ix9ine debating, which was crazy. Like, bear in mind, hip hop has changed so much in the last few years. You forget that, like, when that first off the record episode happened with super snitch 6ix9ine and super solid street dude Whack 100 in the same room at the same table, that was crazy, and that was number one.
But I'm a businessman, so you know what they said to me? He pulled the trigger too early, but it was cool because he had to pull the trigger in because he just got the bag. But before you move, let me explain the premise. Yeah. He just got the bag from Spotify. You got to bag up. Academics is unproven in podcasting. They knew nothing. They didn't know. They know he has a platform and an audience, but as far as podcasting, he had no numbers. So what did they do? They had to go and negotiate. Hey, we'll give you 2 or 3 episodes a week because you're going to have to pay us millions of dollars. But we'll give you a couple of episodes a week to kind of make sure the numbers stay in a good. He got some great people to negotiate for him. But, bro, that's one of his first episodes. It's now time to renegotiate. What does he have? 6ix9ine won't even come see him no more.
But here's the thing. I think Academics also, I got to give him credit because I understand what you're saying. I think that when it comes to following the stories that are popular in hip hop, I think the one good thing that I think is really good about Academics that he doesn't get enough credit for is that I don't think he's scared of reporting on some of the stories that maybe aren't going to be number 1 hit stories that are going to reach 1 million people. For example, you know, he invited me to be on Off the Record, right? I got an Off the Record episode, and listen, I think I'm awesome. I fucking love the content I make. Great, but like, I'm not a 6ix9ine level guy, right? I know that. I can accept that. My ego is what it is. Like, me going on Off the Record ain't going to be his best week by any means. You know what I mean? I'm
if he was who he was, if he was legendary, it would. So what we're doing with Minds is we about to build something like Rogan got. And we're going to put the money behind it, the resources, and most importantly, the conversations. Like this conversation right here. Yeah. The masses hear this. This is a golden nugget. This is nugget on the internet. As long as you dropping nuggets on the internet, you know you drop nuggets. As long as you dropping nuggets on the internet, you're going to be okay, bro.
I agree. But I think with Ak, I think sometimes he is somebody that's not scared to do a story that he's personally interested in. Like, bear in mind, right, I've blown up loads in the last month because of all the attention around this whole King Von controversy. But Ak invited me onto his podcast back in December, so he kind of saw me. Now you been dope, bro. Don't let that Ak didn't validate you, bro. Your content is dope. This is what I need for the young niggas watching me because they'll trick you in this stupid ass game. You don't need these niggas. They ain't never told me I was dope. They bosses told me I was dope. The niggas that cut they checks told me. I don't expect Academics to say Loon dope. He can't talk like me. I don't expect that.
So, bruh, you didn't need him. Him bringing you on this podcast helped him. He can't get a rapper to show up. You helped him.
I mean, hey, listen, I don't know that for
listen,
sure,
bro.
but like,
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you,
your content is dope. Academics didn't validate you. You spent hours on this shit. You put your hard work in. You have dope content. People, you got the views to prove you got dope content, bro. He ain't did nothing special bringing you on for an exclusive contract that don't even reach half the people that know him. 25% of the people know him. Listen to that shit. The other 75% listen to the shit like you saying. They want to hear the newsy shit he's doing on that podcast. Shit is falling by the wayside. And so when you call dude a legend or legendary, I'm saying, all right, help me understand. Because I can't put together the business that he's put in place. He lost his Twitch deal because they noticed, this dude will do this for free. Guaranteed. If he won't, we'll pay him. But give him 3 months. If he Twitch over, he'll do this for free. He so much want the clout. He went and got a Rumble deal where they pay him and he still go to Twitch for free. He might get your you might get your little subs and shit, but you got exclusive deal. It's like, bro, at some point, I'm dropping nuggets. Be like Joe Budden was when Spotify paid Joe. Shut all the doors. This where we at. We finna show them people coming. And that's what I'm saying about what business have these guys established. You hear me salute. Charlemagne is the GOAT of the space, 100%. It's the business I'm looking at. Joe Budden, now with the Patreon shit going crazy, going Wallow and Gilly going crazy, Drink Champs crazy. It's the business. What business have academics put in place that make you say he's legendary?
Well, this is the thing, man. I'll be honest, like, I'm pretty green when it comes to the podcast space. I don't really know the ins and outs of the deals that people get, other than I looked into Joe's deal for my video and stuff. But I have respect for academics. I feel like he is somebody that, bear in mind, put it this way, right? I for a living, I look into these stories and I'm constantly searching for information from the past. I'm looking for what was the Youngboy what was the Youngboy controversy in 2019? And I look it up and it's all academics reporting on it. You know what I mean? And so I respect that. And that
I do too. I do too, but I think it's all wasted bullets. I think it's like shooting in the air. You know what I'm saying? Like when it's business happening. I believe that to be shooting in the air. You just boom, boom.
But I don't think academics, obviously he cares about money. He's got a nice house. He's got nice cars. But I think he does strike, and you might disagree, but he does strike me as somebody that genuinely loves hip hop. He genuinely loves hopping on stream and talking shit about Youngboy, and he would do that for free. And I think I do respect that, even if, I don't know the ins and outs of his business. Maybe there's people that cut better deals, maybe there's people that cut worse deals. But I just think the guy's love for hip hop and the guy's hunger.
We all love hip hop. He didn't even grow up in it. I grew up in it. He don't love it more than me, but that don't make me ignore the business. Anything I ignore make me dumb. I ain't ignoring the obvious for nobody. Right? My love for something don't make me stay with a woman if she ain't doing me no well. If she, like I heard him say, somebody tried to, certain things happen. Like, bruh, you got to understand certain things call for certain things. I'm not putting myself in a situation to say I could be doing business, but I'll do it for free. I love it that much. Like, I will do it for free. I've done it for free. Matter of fact, most of us that's making money off this, we done it for free. We've already done it for free. So when you in this position, I'm saying this is the time academics has to establish business like everybody else, because we talking legacy and we don't know what the fuck YouTube gonna be in 20 years. But if you build you a back catalog of content like you got that can be licensed, or you build you a back catalog of content, right? This is business. You need to be creating business, not get caught up in all this fandom. All this, I'm a fan, I'm obsessed, let it, Nah, do business too, though. Enjoy yourself, but do business. So I'm saying legendary, legacy are businessmen. When I want to have him under Charlemagne, Charlemagne academics?
That was crazy.
Are we, what are you, crazy. Vlad is on the list that makes we got Adam, 2 million a month. There's so many. Drink Champ, Wallow and Gilly. What? Academics 3 with what business?
It was crazy. But this is the thing, bro. If I get to the point where I'm trying to cut a podcast deal, I need you in my corner telling me how this shit works, because you know your shit.
I got you, bro.
You know your shit, bro. I'm new to this, to be honest. Like,
we gonna work on something behind the scenes. I'm definitely gonna try to put a play together, like a big one, you know, with one of these big networks, because you know I got the game. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that at another time. Let me ask you this: how much time? And we'll close up in a minute. How much time do you spend on these documentaries, like say NBA Youngboy documentary? How much time are you spending on it?
I would say on average, I would say it takes me about probably, like, for every hour that a video is, probably a month. So the King Von video took me 3 months straight up. I didn't do nothing else but look at King Von shit for 3 months. So with this Youngboy thing, you know, I don't know how long it's going to be. I thought I was further. I'm not even halfway through, but I've been working on this for over damn near 2 months now, and I feel like maybe I need another month. It might be.
It's going to be another one of them motherfuckers, man.
Yeah, bro, it's long, but that usually I'd say like a month for an hour. You know, it's kind of like, because back in the day I used to do like little 15-20 minute videos, and I could do one of those in a week. You know, I could research the story, record it, get it edited in like a week. But these long videos, they take a long time, man. And you know, the way it works is it's almost like I'll be researching, you know, for a month, and then I'll hand it off to an editor. They might edit for a whole month while I'm researching the next thing for a month, if that makes sense. So yeah, they take a lot of time, man. And you know, like, I go back to what I was saying earlier, you know, for better or for worse, you know, I do have an obsession for hip hop. You know, I have an obsession for my work. I've got an obsession for the internet. You know, I love writing, I love researching, and I don't think I would be able to do this, you know, look at the same stories for months. Or, you know, sometimes I work super late nights. I can work all night long just researching, writing, listening to music, making notes. And if I didn't love this shit, if I wasn't serious about it, if I was just a vulture just trying to steal some music for clout and money, I wouldn't be able to really commit to this, because I love this shit, man. I'm excited to get up in the morning and listen to a mixtape I've not heard before, and learn about an artist and read about their interviews and their backstories. Like, I love this shit. So, you know, I spend months on these stories, but I enjoy it, and it's hard work, but it's, you know, it's very rewarding.
So if let's say you got 2 months in and you find out the story's no good. Damn, he didn't do it. I want you to know that it's okay to put it out with all that information in at the end. Turns out he did none of this, right? I want you to know that that's okay, because I don't want you to commit going in that, yo, I have to find these 12 murders and justify whatever this is, right? Whatever they're saying, I'm looking to justify it to a point where, again, Hammer looking for a nail.
I agree. And I don't know, but this next project, who knows, it might end up going that way, because I'm doing that research, and, you know, I'm finding in stuff that's saying the one thing, stuff that's saying the other thing. And, you know, I agree. I definitely don't want to give people the impression that I get into these stories with like a false narrative, or I'm just trying to prove that everybody's the biggest, baddest gangster in the world. You know, that's really not the case. My thing is the truth. I want to get the truth across. I want to get my opinion, but also like the facts. And then for me to say, look, based on the facts, this is how I feel the situation is, or this is how and it's not, look, I know I'm an outsider to the culture, and I can accept that. But what I am is I'm a good researcher. I'm a very dedicated researcher. And I think that, you know, if I spend 2 months looking at something, my opinion on what all of that shit that I spent 2 months looking at is still should be somewhat valid. And, you know, I hope that people can see that, you know, whether it's a video about King Von and, you know, the alleged murders, or whether it's a video about, you know, I don't know if you've seen other recent stuff like Eminem and his wife, and going through this crazy divorce that, you know, completely affected his career in every way. And, you know, you can argue that it was this relationship that is what got him hooked on drugs and nearly killed him. So, you know, I look into these stories and I really try and learn everything and call it how I see it. And, you know, I know a lot of people disagree with me, and, you know, some people don't like me for certain reasons, or they think that I shouldn't talk about what I talk about or whatever. And, you know, I understand where people are coming from, but honestly, like, I do just love hip hop. Like, you know, I do love writing, making videos, and, you know, I just try and make videos for other people that love hip hop and want to learn about artists.
Do you write everything down? Like, is you reading like a teleprompter script? How do you How do you communicate these things on camera? Because again, you do it with like you're not reading. You're doing a great job, right? So how do you communicate these things on camera?
Yeah, so it's funny. I only started using the teleprompter recently. I think the first video I used the teleprompter on was maybe the Mo3 documentary that I did last year. But you know, what I do is I tend to write. I do a lot of research. You know, I'll read all the rap lyrics. I'll watch the music videos. I'll read the interviews, and I'll put those into like a research document, usually in like chronological order. So it's like, you know, right now with this Youngboy thing, it's, for example, it's like, okay, I've just got like background of where he's from, Baton Rouge, and then it's like, you know, his life, his upbringing, and then it's like, you know, his first album, what did he say, what were the events going on around him with the first album, the next album, or you know, we get to his court case, he goes to the court, what happened with the court case, did he win, did he lose, what happened, he gets out, what's the next album. So I try and get all of that info lined up, and then once I feel like I've learned everything, I then try and write it in my voice with, you know, what I've learned, like my perspective of like, okay, I think this, you know, there's this lyric and then this happened. I think that means this is where his head was at the time he wrote this lyric, or, you know, clearly he was going through some shit because he said this and then this happened, and, you know, he went through a difficult case, or dude got addicted to drugs or whatever. And so I'll kind of write that up until I get to the point where I feel like I've explained everything that happened. It's like, I don't want to just throw up a lyric and not say anything. I want to throw up a lyric and say, what does this mean? Like, what's he trying to say with this lyric?
Yeah, I wonder how you crafting that stuff, though.
It's really a case of like, you know, just me lining it all up and just trying to give my interpretation. I think a lot of people maybe don't like that I give my opinion, but at the same time, it's kind of like, look, if we've got a lyric where Youngboy is saying I've got 12 bodies, I think it's reasonable to be able to say, look, Youngboy released an album, he's got 2 or 3 lyrics on there where he's talking about doing drive-bys and catching bodies, and, you know, what I think this means is that this is a point when Youngboy is at a time in his career where he wants to, you know, let his ops or whatever know that he's still here, he's still standing, you know, he's really trying to let people know that he's not affected by the drama going on. And it's stuff like that's just one example, but it's
that's
just
what
like
I was looking
stuff
for,
like where it's like,
you answered the question. That's
like,
great.
This might be something useful. Something I really try and do is I try and write stories in a way that somebody that didn't know much about hip hop, or even somebody that's a casual listener but they don't know like they've heard 2 Youngboy songs. I try and write things in a way so that somebody that doesn't know anything about him can still understand it. I try not to have too much like context of like, you have to have heard all of Youngboy's albums to get what I'm talking about. He mentions this person. Like, I try and explain, like, if Youngboy mentions one of his friends is always there for him, or for example with the Youngboy story, you know, in a lot of songs he mentions R.I.P. Lil Dave. A lot of people might know what that means, or he says, I put this on Dave, I swear on Dave. And with my video, it's like, okay, let me explain to people, you know, Youngboy releases this album and he mentions his friend Lil Dave numerous times. Then I'll say, Lil Dave was a friend of his when he was, he was a teenager, unfortunately ended up losing their life. And this was, you know, the first person he lost, and this ended up affecting him. And this went on to affect his music and the way he saw the world. So it's really trying to explain that to somebody that if you're a huge Youngboy fan, you don't need to know that. I think
that's dope, right? To even be able to, there's something there. There's something special about being able to do that, dude. I want you to know that, right? Because a lot of people in this industry, again, they know, yo, here's another thing. The people ahead of you will find you way before they tell anybody about you. So somebody like Academics inviting you to his podcast in 2022, he been knowing about you since 2017 type thing, right? So I want you to know, I want you to know that these people know you. These people know you're dope. They will never say it. I don't know why this industry is that way. I'm probably the only one that's just going to be like, yo, it's something there, bro. Hang in on that. Like, that little thing is something. Like, I'm telling you, it's business right there. Something, you know what I mean? A lot of people not going, for whatever reason, bro. I just wanted to say that to you. Not even necessarily about Youngboy, right? I'm just more so wondering, when you craft this shit up, it's just interesting to see how you do it. You know what I'm saying? Is the teleprompter affecting it? Is it good? Is it working well? Do you like that better? Or
it's quite interesting, man. No one's ever asked me this, but yeah, I think the teleprompter is tricky because previously what I would do is I would literally, you can't see it, but where I'm sat right now, I've got the camera there I'm looking at, and I've got the screen where you're at. what I used to do is I would have my script on the screen where you are, and I would just read, I'd literally would look at the sentence, I would just try and remember it, and I would turn to the camera and I would say it. And I would just do that. It would take me hours and hours, but back then I was doing shorter videos. But I think the reason why that's always been good is because you can tell that I'm not just reading a script. You might have seen there's a lot of channels out there where you've got dudes that just read to the teleprompter, and it's words that they didn't write. It's random shit. And you can actually tell that when they're reading it, they're sort of saying like the sentences don't really work because they don't know what's coming. They're saying, and then NBA Youngboy would get in trouble because he got into a situation. Like, you can tell they don't know what's coming, whereas I've written every word, so I know what's coming. So even though I'm reading it off a teleprompter, I know my intention, I know the tone. Like, I know that if I'm talking about somebody that just lost their life, I need to speak with a little bit more of a sensitive tone. I need to say,
crafting it up
at 2:15 a.m. Yeah, at 2:15 a.m., somebody got out of a dark vehicle and opened fire. You need to say that a bit more seriously than if you're saying, Youngboy released his new album and it was lit. It was full of bangers and he went #1. And somebody that didn't write the content and didn't have a personal connection to it might not be able to do that. Because I do care about this shit. I don't want people to think I'm making light of somebody that got killed or whatever. I have a personal connection with these stories. I'm passionate about them. Like, I write these scripts. Like, for me, it's, a lot of people maybe don't give me credit for it, but like, you'll notice, especially in like my video about FBG Duck or my video about, the Jacksonville kind of who I smoke beef, I always try and end videos with like some positive perspective, which is my opinion. Like, I'll say things, the Jacksonville video, for example, I kind of end by saying, look, we really need this violence to stop. We got to try and, see things better and try and see a positive outcome of this situation, because we've just got people dying on both sides and dissing each other, and it's just getting out of control. And I think it's like, I think those touches where I just try and give a bit of extra perspective, or even in the King Von video, I know a lot of people were upset that you're painting him as the serial killer, but if you watch the video carefully, there's a segment near the start of the video where I say, look, before we get any further, I just want to say King Von is a product of his environment. He grew up in a tough situation where it was kill or be killed. He had to defend himself and his people from these dangers. And I think, maybe some people don't care for that or whatever.
Well, it's like the apology after the murder. It's like, damn, you just shot my nephew and said sorry. That probably ain't the same kind of. We appreciate that, but that don't outweigh that. That's the thing that's happening with that. But I wanted you to answer this. If NBA Youngboy join this stream right now, because I know Alex now. But if NBA Youngboy join this stream right now and say, hey, white boy, stay out of my business, what do you say to that?
I'd probably say, like, keep your business off the Billboard charts, bro. That he wants me to stay out of his business, but he just dropped 2 albums this month. You know what I mean? I got like 50 tracks to listen through. And I think I love Youngboy. I respect him. I respect all of these artists. But I think if you're if you're a gangster and you're in the streets and you're really doing this stuff and you're keeping it real, you would not be telling people the things you did in the streets. I think when you become a rapper and you put yourself in the public sphere, you become a public figure, you're making music about your life, you're trying to share your story. Rappers want people to talk about them. So I think it's wrong for people to say, like, Youngboy is going to release an album, it's going to go #1 on Billboard, it's going to sell 100,000 copies, but I'm not allowed to talk about it or look into it. I feel like it's just an unrealistic expectation. If you didn't want people looking into your life, you shouldn't have put it on a Billboard charting song. But that said, I actually think, although a lot of people have come at me, for example, for King Von, a lot of people have defended me and said, when King Von was alive, he wanted everyone to think he was the big killer. King Von was literally resharing videos of, like, things on WorldStar of shootouts that he was allegedly involved in. Like, Von, not to go too far back to Von, but, like, Youngboy, for example, he's released an album called Richest Op, and it's full of all this stuff where he's kind of dissing his ops, going at his enemies. He wants people to think of him as a tough guy, as a gangster. So I don't think he would really be upset. And I'm not sure Von would have been upset,
because it's the criminal element you putting together that make it cause, again, investigation. Have you ever been under investigation? I have.
No.
I'm telling you that these things could be used in those kind of scenarios. Like, definitely, man, they don't have an understanding of the culture a lot of times they are misrepresenting words, and they got to ask people inside the culture. That's why the CI is so important to the criminal element, to the police. It's because without the CI, they don't even know what we communicate. Somebody might call and say, "Hey, bring me two of my ice, man," and then pull up with some of that boy.
Here's the thing, though. I do get what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. But it's like, for example, in the Youngboy situation, I don't think it's fair to suggest like I'm responsible for him being investigated. For example, he just released a music video, right? And in the music video, he's got a lyric where he says, "We're going to lay his head on a pillow when we pull up on him." And in the music video, he's laying on the floor, putting his head on a pillow, and all his guys are over him going like this. And this is a reference to the murder of G Money, where a pillow was found at the crime scene, and everyone says, "Oh, they threw a pillow on him after they shot him." Now, that's not true. I know that's not true. It was a pillow that was left by the medical services that were there trying to save him after he got found shot. But Youngboy's on a song talking about we're going to lay his head on a pillow when we catch him, and he's in the music video on the ground with the pillow, dancing, laughing. It would be wrong to say that he gets investigated because of me pointing that out, when everybody in Baton Rouge knows that this guy got found dead with a pillow next to him, and everybody can see Youngboy dancing around on the floor with this pillow. So I do respect what you're saying, but I think it's almost like the incrimination has already occurred before I point it out.
We're changing words, and so I do want to let the youngsters know, Youngboy and everybody that's watching, that's irresponsible to take that kind of stance on music, right? If that does correlate, if that is a situation, I want us to move away from that. I can't tell a nigga what to do. But here's the thing. When we deal with an artist, when we deal with someone like him, I'm not saying you're responsible. That's a word you used. I said you're adding to the investigation. So when you're under investigation, it's exactly what it is, an investigation. Right? A lot of the investigation nowadays operates literally all on social media, and they verify or they look at YouTube as social media, right? So they literally go on YouTube, type shit in, and somebody like you with the job that you do with this kind of shit, man, there's probably 3 or 4 police sitting down watching this shit. Your documentary. I'm telling you this for sure.
I don't believe it.
I'm telling you this for sure.
My documentary. No, but here's what I'm trying to say. My documentary. Let's say
whether they use it or not. I think you're confusing what I'm saying with them actually using your content in court. I'm saying just the same way you look at academics without using this content and just be like, oh, maybe that is a point. Maybe that kind of. It's the same way the feds or the state would look at some of those documentaries. Go ahead.
I just feel like you're giving me too much credit and you're not giving the state enough. Bear in mind, it's like I've got a video, for example, King Von, he's on his IG live and he's talking about, I swear I got more than 5 bodies, for example. Whether I understand a lot of people believe that it's cap and he's maintaining a rapper image. Fine, that's not my perspective, but fair enough. But I think the idea that the cops are seeing that in my video 2 years after it happened, rather than, I'm 100% sure that there is probably a Baton Rouge detective whose job it is to just watch all of Youngboy's Instagram stories and music videos. So it's already happened before it makes it to my videos.
I've been under investigation. I got state charges. I got friends in the feds. I've dealt with the feds. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on federal lawyers. I've been set up and snitched on myself. Not my cousin, not my friend. They brought the people to bust me. So I'm telling you that they don't have an understanding like you giving them too much credit. They a bunch of lazy fucks, bro. I'm telling you, you ain't even from the states, and I'm telling you, now on a certain level it gets serious. But bro, they don't have an understanding in the way that you think they have an understanding. I'm telling you they don't. That's why half of what happens in court is cooperation, because they don't know nothing. They don't really know what the fuck that means or how did you do that. Sometimes they'll give a dude been 60 murders, they'll let him go. Just tell us how the hell you did that. We don't have no understanding on it. So
here's why I disagree. Just with one good example, I think I did a video on the YSL YFN beef, right? YFN Lucci, Young Thug.
Hold on, been going at before you go, right? I'm gonna let you get that off, but I want to set this premise before you go. The reason why that is different is because Atlanta is culture. So even the DAs is culture, the judge, everybody in Atlanta, because it has bled culture. But that's an anomaly. That doesn't happen everywhere. But continue.
Okay, if that's your opinion, but I think just more specifically, I released my video about the YFN YSL beef 6 months before Young Thug got indicted, right? And then when he got indicted, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's because of Trap Law Ross he did a video. And bear in mind, I released my video after Lucci got indicted. So Lucci gets indicted, I make a video, and I literally say in my video, it seems like Young Thug has moved away from the streets. He's just a musician. He's not involved in that. Unfortunately, Lucci got caught up and he's caught a RICO. 6 months after I released my video, Young Thug catches his case. And everybody starts saying, it's Trap Law Ross, his video, it broke it down so well that he's the one responsible. But here's the thing. Then the indictment drops. And what's in the indictment? They got his phone's like social details from his phone. They got pictures, communications, messages between them saying Young Thug book in this rental car. They've got him Instagramming people saying, you know, we're soldiers, we had to get the job done, or whatever it was. And it's like when you actually then see it, it's like they got way more resources.
Again, I want to point out that Atlanta, the DA in Atlanta, she is culture. She understands the terms, the language. She has dealt with rap code. Again, Atlanta is a different space, and I think because you haven't dealt with the criminal system, there's no way you don't have a reference. But I'm telling you, you go into this criminal system and they don't know the culture like that. That's why cooperation is prevalent. In Atlanta, though, everybody is a part of black culture. Even I'll give you an example. Just the other day in the YSL case, instead of going to jail, the judge told the dude, hey, you gotta go buy lunch. Guess where he went? Magic City. He's the lawyer, got wings and shit from Magic. Everybody is cultured in Atlanta. It's a different, so I wouldn't contribute it as much to an Atlanta situation because I know that DA to understand rap music when Thug is on the song and saying, I keep a dress under the stick and all of that. I know she knows how to kind of put some of this together more so than some of these white, old, elderly people who won't leave their job, but they're investigator for this state place. I'm telling you they don't know. But with Atlanta, even though she's misrepresenting lyrics, I need to be on record saying that. But I think that she has more of an understanding. The DA office in Atlanta has more of an understanding of hip hop culture, even Thug. They know that situation. I believe them to have cousins and family that could be intertwined somewhere down the line that know some of those guys.
But I don't know how that same thing can't just be applied to like Baton Rouge. You know, Youngboy's been investigated since late 2016, right? So that's like 7 years that they've had to get their head around the lingo and all this stuff. You can't just say it's all Trap Law Ross.
I'm not saying
like,
that it's all you. I'm saying you add to the understanding. Again, I gave the example the same way you look at academics. And you don't take him from his word, everything he says. It's 2 hour thing. I know this guy don't know everything, but oh fuck, that little piece. Hey, you heard that little piece? We didn't know about that. That's what I'm saying, right? It ain't that, oh, we're taking Trap Law Ross documentary and we're drawing the indictment up off of that. That's not happening. But I'm telling you and guaranteeing you that there's some investigators sitting down watching that for perspective. Not necessarily to grab charges, but for perspective in the same way that we do when we go do an interview or try to do a doc or whatever. That's what I would believe. To that, what do you say?
Look, I'll be honest, man. I'm not sure I believe it. I feel like it's a bit of a reach, but at the same time, we have a difference in perspective. You know, I just feel like, you know, for example, the feds, right? You know, the 5 people that were caught for FBG Duck's murder, they're currently awaiting trial. I just don't believe that the investigators that were looking into them didn't have the knowledge or the context to decipher what was going on. You know, they've got. What
do you say for so many unsolved murders in Chicago? Then they don't know, bro. They don't have the context. I'm telling you.
I don't know though, because I mean, there's that King Von song. What is it? There's the King Von song, "What It's Like," and he says at the end of the song, he basically says the conversation that he had with the investigators, and they said, "Yeah, you know, D Rose, that's my work. You know, Rondo Number 9, that's my work." So it's like Von's talking about these guys, these feds, they know them so well,
say these
and they're
things,
involved
they
in the
shoot
Chicago
for
street
things.
scene.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. You've never been arrested, probably. I've been under investigation. They say these things. Hey man, we know about you always having a gun on you. You know such and such got shot. We know that's you. We know you came back from Texas. They might have saw me come back from Texas. We know you came back from Texas last week. We know you was out there. You know, we know what you was doing out there. You know, they say these things. I'm telling you this for sure.
But they're not getting that from YouTube videos. I just
It
just seems like a reach that they're getting
when
it
you
from me.
even speaking of finesse 2 times. Guess what? When he went to court, they brought in 32 articles. Articles are evidence from the government side that they place forward to try to let the judge know why you do deserve more time or why you deserve the maximum or whatever it is. I think he said 29, 30 of those was all social media YouTube things when he would go off on Moneybag. Yo, bitch that nigga had a gun in the club, flashed the gun. They are getting everything from YouTube and social media. I'm guaranteeing you this.
But that's his own social media, not
No,
my
not
social
his own
media.
social
He already
media.
put that
It
out
was-
and snitched on himself. It's about self-snitching,
It wasn't his.
man. Like,
just
these guys,
clarify this.
you know,
It was not his own social media. It was videos of him at the club, maybe with an AR on stage, like tucked to the side, or with a gun. Well, he might have been live, but that video was on YouTube. He had been deleted that, so that video might have been on YouTube somewhere. And so I'm saying this is assistance.
That's on
this
him,
is
man.
assistance,
That's on
is what
him.
I'm saying. Whether it's on him or not, you gotta acknowledge that the role that you play in it. Or are you saying you don't think you played zero role with the great journalism that you wrapped around these things? You're telling me you play zero role in an investigation if there is one going on. You don't believe no one to have ever looked at one of your documentaries for perspective in law enforcement.
I do not believe my videos have played any role, zero role in an active investigation. I can imagine an investigator's probably watched my video for fun, but I don't think I played any role in an investigation. If there was some evidence, if you could show me an indictment where one of my videos
won't be
was
referenced. There's a perspective play. So what I'm telling you is
happen.
this: you think you get 1 million views and there's not a golden nugget in it, or you think that's 1 million dumb people?
No.
So there's golden nuggets. There's
options.
nuggets in this.
Those are nuggets that the cops already had. It seems unbelievable to me that they would not look at any of the. I just don't know how they wouldn't look at
the example.
Bear in mind. No, but this is what I'm saying. It's like, bear in mind, like, for example, you know, I might get a clip of Youngboy toting a gun, right? That is the same clip that he got arrested for. I don't know if you, I don't know if you know the story, but like in 2020, Youngboy is doing a music video. He's on probation. He shouldn't be around guns. He's on social media with all of his boys toting an AK, and then the feds pull up and they arrest him. They arrest everyone. And this is the case that Youngboy he's awaiting trial for this weapons charge because he was on social media with this gun. Now, it's not my fault if I put that in a video that he was doing that. He should not have been toting a gun while he's on probation in his neighborhood.
I get what you're saying. You're right? Responsibility, right? He should never be doing that. I remember one time Academics had posted Meek Mill and he was on probation and he was in his neighborhood, Philly, one of the most dangerous places in the world. So they had firearms on him. Academics reposted, Meek people them hit him up. Hey, bro, he on probation, bro. Take it down. They can get him locked up. Academics, what's wrong? I don't know what's going on. I don't. He just locked.
Because Meek already snitched on himself. That's not Axe's fault.
This is the perspective of the internet babies, right? What we trying to tell y'all is preserve our culture, but y'all don't look at it like that because y'all ain't a part of it for real. So what happens is when we say, yo, don't send Meek to jail for some, like with Ja Morant, that shit going crazy right now. He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that. But in our culture, sometimes your people will bury some shit if they can. For us, it's like, yo, you shouldn't have done it. Everybody posted. But we always ignore the incentive that everybody is monetizing people's downfalls. People are monetizing people's mistakes. That's what's happening. So if it wasn't an incentive, you could tell a person, hey, man, that might send me to jail, bro. And they'll take it down. But because they want, especially Academics, that thirst to be first. That thirst to be first will make him throw it up. But, bro, I'm thinking like, fuck, man. Like, I want us to find a medium for that shit. But, again, I can't deal with self-snitching. I don't do it. I think it's dumb.
Listen, Ja Morant, because I've been looking into this too. he got away one time. He was lucky. He flashed that gun in the strip club. They nearly banned him. They gave him like 2-game suspension. I don't know what he's doing running around showing guns on Instagram Live again. That's on him, bro. That he why is he doing that again, bro? He's gonna fuck his whole shit up.
I can't talk about that with you, man. That's Josh, my boy, and they gonna say, Loon, damn, man, it just happened. You talking about it with the white boy up there. That ain't cool. So I'm going to hold on for a minute on the job topic. That's my guy.
Fair enough.
I wish him the best. I don't know what's happening. I do understand that something's happening, and I hate it for him, right? I think partially, I think he's bit into that music a whole lot. I think that music got him chokehold on him. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is the evidence of what I'm telling you they do. They tell our rap niggas they incentivize, and there's benefit on the side of exaggeration of criminal behavior. And then what you deal with is real crime rising. Youngboy said something in a song that scared me. And it didn't scare me because I think he gonna do something, but I understood. I know young boys that listen to him. Guess what he said? He said that what you know about a dude beating on your mama, you get old enough and then you kill him. I said, I don't think that's a good message to give those children, because there's people gonna start plotting on that or feel like that's the way to go in real life. Like, I don't even know if he knows, but I've dealt with young niggas that look just like Youngboy. Try to stand like him, try to talk like him, get their hair like him. If he switch his hair, they switch their hair. If he wearing this, they wear. So he got a certain chokehold on him that when he said that, I said, oh, I just don't know. Maybe, it's a slippery one. That's a slippery place right there.
Well, that's a really good point. And actually, I think something I really wanted to say to you at some point in this conversation is that I think that, something needs to change, because I think there's a lot of successful rappers. J. Cole is just one that jumps to mind, that can be successful without living up to this gangster image. I know that works for a lot of people, but at the same time, that's not the only route. I know people are incentivized by acting like a tough guy, acting like they got bodies or they're a killer or whatever. But
and it's not, what? I want you to clarify this, because it's not acting like anything. It's exaggeration of the circumstances. Sure. Not that I'm not involved, but I may there's this benefit on the side of putting a little bit on that. Now with J. Cole, he's dope. That's the difference. They don't incentivize niggas that ain't dope. But they'll give you some money if you ain't dope, but you talking that gangster killer shit. You can still get in. But that's why it's actually quite confusing, because then you look at a guy like Ja Morant, and we don't have to talk too much on him because I know there's a personal relationship there, but it's like it's almost hard to understand, where it's like, this guy's an NBA player with one of the biggest contracts going. He doesn't really need to be flashing the gun, but I suppose, how do we know he doesn't need to? How do we know he doesn't need to be? How do we know that he don't need to flash it? He doesn't need to flash the gun. Maybe he needs the gun for protection, but he doesn't need to. And he's clearly flashing it because he's caught up in the music in the moment, and he wants to show it off. But what I really wanted to say to you, going back to the J. Cole thing, because you said something really interesting right back at the start of this when we were talking about Jay-Z and the Marcy Projects, and you said that you've got young guys growing up in a difficult situation where damn near the only options they've got is rap or play ball or get into the streets. And I think it's so important for us going forward to also shine a light on the people like yourself and like Charlemagne or J. Cole that say, you know what? You haven't actually, you got more options. You can be a dope podcaster and make millions. You can be even if you don't like Ack, you could be like Ack. Sure. A lot of people that maybe don't want to be like Ack. I like Ack, but you know what I mean? And I think that going forward, this is something I want to do, and I would love to do more projects broadly on I cover lots of different types of people. I also love covering success. But, just really showing people, like young dudes coming out of fucked up environments, that, you know what? There's so many more options. There's so many more routes. You're a good podcaster, not because you're up here acting like the toughest podcaster in the world that can't be fucked with. You're here because you've got interesting opinions. You argue your points well. You got a really good perspective from the background that you've come from. And you're a shining example. Like, you're a role model. You know what I mean? And I think it's just a really interesting space that we're in, where it's like some people, they're kind of caught up in just the only role models they can see are the King Vons, the Chief Keefs
or the NBA Youngboys. And there's actually nowadays in the modern era, there's so many more people to look up to. And I think, maybe going forward, I'd love to know if there's more ways that I could
we definitely
spread that message.
I'm telling you, we're going to lock in and we're going to get some stuff together because, I can appreciate how you do these things. What I think happens is I truly, when I lay down at night, I truly in my heart know I'm breaking the mold. I truly know this because before me, you have your academics, you have your Joe Buddens, you have all of these guys are different from me. Now, Tech Stone is a version of it, but something happened. It got slippery for him, and then something took him along the way. I take him to be intelligent. I take him to have game, a lot of game as well. But I truly believe because my head is on right, and I've literally dedicated my life to this. I truly believe this to break the mold, and I say that because when I pull up in the trap, they will play my podcast. They will not play another podcast. Here's the kicker. When I pull up to an exec, they also play the podcast. And so here's where you see somebody like QCP always share my stuff. That's my brother. It ain't because the personal relationship. It's because the opinion, the perspective that's being laid down. It's like, that makes sense. You see some of the biggest people in the game embrace it because of the perspective. And so I believe soon everybody will have a mic and be talking. It's going to be about where you get your information from. Because everybody's going to have a YouTube channel, a camera. Everybody's going to know how to edit. The shit going to damn near edit itself. There's a new program now to edit podcasts for you. AI, just you ain't even got to touch it. So it's going to be about you better be dope. And that's what dudes like academics going to burn out. And people like you are going to thrive because you must have golden nuggets. And I just piss gold. Like I talk golden nuggets. I like perspective wise, I'm always going to have something that's like, what the fuck was that? And so I'm lucky enough to be there. I just pray that perspective stays with me and the universe stays in line. But outside of that, I want the youngsters to know you can be a dope podcaster, but I know I'm the first one they looking at and saying, nah, he really cool. Like the girls, I'm the first podcaster. I mean, I'm sure dudes like Charlemagne, I don't look at him like a podcaster. Joe probably get girls. There's a lot of niggas this, but bro, I'm popping like a rap nigga popping. Like I'm talking about they loving
for real, and you're shining too. You're shining with the chains like a rapper, bro.
And I love them, but I'm saying I want us to shed light so the kids do know. Hey, it's other avenues. J. Cole got out because he was truly dope. What's unfortunate is you don't got to be dope if you talk criminal. You got to be believable. So they don't necessarily care if you dope, long as they believe you. We'll get you out there. Because we gonna put some criminal shit in front of these people because that's what they want. They gonna listen to. That's why you see Youngboy have 70K people on the Instagram. Nobody really, they gonna find where that beef at. What the hell is he going live at talking about that beef shit? We gonna find that. And so I think I'm the first one to be able to dribble in both of those like lanes where it's like, oh, he cool and it's information. Like we can learn and it's still us. And so I pray that people coming behind this, that we like the way that it's possible, because what you doing, bro, I'm telling you this. And don't wait for these suckers to validate you, because if you waiting on that, it ain't going to ever happen. You may be the dopest one doing that. You need to be at a network with that. You see what I'm saying? The level you doing it on, it's network material. So continue to put them nuggets in there, because at some point, we're going to try to get that shit licensed or get a bag for some of that shit to live over here on one of these. Especially when you put somebody like me involved with it where they can't really blackball it, where it's like, yo, he don't really know. Like they going to say, you know what I'm saying? Because even with Act, bro, all due respect, Act made a lot of money. He's not really from our culture when we really dribble it down. It's like, bro, you really didn't grow up. Well, see, I come up in a situation where I've met every kind of person. Here's the thing about the streets, the drug game. If you really was in it, you have an opportunity to meet all walks of life. I get to see the doctor, because 9 times out of 10, at some point, a doctor's on drugs and he comes down to see me. I see the tractor trailer driver. I see damn near all walks of life. And so you get to pick up on habits. You get to pick up on people and how to look at people and view people and get things from them and understand what they have to offer. I don't see him being able to survive much longer with that level of content, because soon everybody's gonna be quick trigger, because everybody gonna have a computer, a phone. It's just too much content coming out, bro.
Man, you know, it's I think you're right. You know, I think a lot of people are going to try and get in on this space, and they are going to be recording. Everyone's going to have a camera. But as you say, I think it's that, you know, that unique, like whatever makes you unique, you know, your nugget, your golden nugget, your diamonds, your facts that you put across.
Sure.
That's what's going to make you stand out. But bro, you know, I totally agree. And I think you are a shining example. I think you're a great role model for this culture in this current space and time that we're in. You know, 2023, it's a crazy time. There's crazy shit going on. You know, the rap media sphere damn near ain't recognizable from what it was 10 years ago, but I think it's super exciting, and there's a lot of great people coming through. And I'm glad to just have the conversation with you, man.
I appreciate you. I think
it's great.
I'm gonna ask you one more question. Do you make enough money to survive off of this stuff? What kind of money you making off this shit?
Man, I make enough to live comfortably. You know, I do this full time.
Have they got you to 7 figures?
Nah, not yet, man. Hopefully, eventually. But, you know, I'm grinding, man. And, you know, I don't do it for the money. But at the same time, you know, it would be nice to have 7 figures. But I ain't there yet, man. But I'm trying, man. I live a humble life. I'm not too flashy. You know, I don't ball out too much. You know, I live a comfortable, happy life. And I'm happy with where I'm at. But, you know what I'm saying? I got to get to that 7 figures eventually. I appreciate you coming through.
Like I say, we'll lock in. You got any questions about any culture, perspective, hit me. I had a good time. I appreciate you, bro.
Totally. Appreciate you too, man. Thanks
yes,
for having
sir.
me.
You have a good one.
We'll speak again soon for sure.
Salute.